If anyone has a hat in the other room, now would be the time to grab it. Because this intro is going to take a while. So sit back.
Making your way through the daily grind takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to tune away? All those nights when you're feeling low, the rent is overdue, and your coffee maker's broken, your luck just seems to skew, and your boss is always on your case. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. Roll out of bed and you feel the dread. The morning's looking bleak, and your internet is down again. You haven't slept all week, and your car just broke down on the way. Be glad there's a place online where you can feel at ease. In the Barroom Podcast, friends, we share our thoughts and teas. Every story shared, every laugh so free. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. So here's to the moments we all hold dear, in this barroom of the airways with friends so near. Every story shared, every heartfelt cheer. It's more than just a podcast, it's where we steer. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. So tune in with Unwind, let the stories unfold. In this haven, voices where camaraderie is gold. The Barroom Podcast, your home away from home, where laughter is the language and you'll never be alone. Where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
That intro is going to be an ongoing work in progress, by the way. So little by little, it'll start looking like something that I didn't throw together at the last minute. So once we polish it up, it'll look a lot better. But hey guys, how you doing? It's episode 166 of the Barroom, and I got my friends with me here for another episode. So let's say hey to Mr. Rob Motto. How's it going?
Pretty good. About 10 minutes before the show was set to start, I found out that Claudia Cardinale died, who was a 87-year-old Italian actress who everybody is super interested in hearing about. But she was in one of my favorite westerns, Once Upon a Time in the West. She was well known in other stuff, 8½, The Leopard, other stuff. But that was kind of sad, whatever. And it's just been another kind of insane week watching people just be awful and, turn out to be hypocrites and all other sorts of things of that nature. So it's been another week, but again, my personal life's going really well, so it's just in definite contrast to what's going on out there in the real world.
As long as everything's looking up Millhouse, you should be fine. Also joining us here tonight is our good buddy Eddie Brock. How's it going, Eddie?
Hey everybody, I hope I can be heard like usual.
Yep, gotcha.
You can be heard.
And I'd like to say I absolutely hate Nissan. They're a terrible company. I can't wait until they go bankrupt. The worst thing Korea's ever given us since slavery.
So you want to talk about crappy cars? So I have a Chevy Sonic, and don't ask me why I have a Chevy Sonic. I had to get one at a time period where there was no used cars. So this is a handful of years ago. Got a Chevy Sonic. It's been a massive money pit. And then I found out today, because I was having some coolant issues with my car, and I was like, okay, well, I can go over there and get the tubes replaced. That'll cost me about $214. I can pay that. That's fine. Then I called back today. It's like, hey, so when's my car gonna be ready? Oh, we're still working on it. Keep in mind, it had been over 24 hours, which was my first indication. Is like, uh-oh, they found something else. So found out about an hour later that, hey, by the way, so here's the problem with your car. Your fan has not been working at all, and because it hasn't triggered a check engine or overheating warning on your dashboard, you've been driving on a red hot motor for quite some time. So in order to get a new fan so that your car can actually properly cool itself, you're gonna have to spend about $680. So altogether, with what you've already paid, and you're now looking at nearly $900 for a car that's already a money pit. So I'm actively looking for anyone who is willing to trade me some kind of South Korean nonsense, preferably a Hyundai. I like Hyundai. I will take a mid 2000s 2010 Hyundai Sonata and be perfectly fine. I'm perfectly content with just having that. I don't need some super expensive 30. I don't need a Bugatti. I don't need no 2000. Just like 2009 Hyundai Sonata, and I'm fine with that. I'm content. So, yeah, the moral of the story is don't buy American. It's all a lie.
Mostly get they're made in Mexico.
Yeah, you would have learned that lesson like 20 years ago. With like Chevy and Ford, whatever. I had a terrible experience with when I got my license. It was like never buying American ever, and I never did. Well, I lied because my first car was a Mercury. So, but hey, that ran for like 50,000 miles until it caught on fire. Lisa knows about that. Caught on fire, and then I was lucky because I left work that day, and literally the work caught on fire. And that was like, okay, they're literally going to come and talk to me. And they didn't. But yeah, so that was a little fun, when I was 21 happening. Yep.
I'll say this just real quick. I had a Hyundai Sonata that literally just peaked at 200,000 miles, and then the timing chain snapped. And it was at a time period where I was originally quoted, okay, this probably set you back about $1,600. And I was like, okay, well, I'll wait a couple of weeks, build up a little bit of money, and then I can pay it off. Literally, as every week went by to get a new quote, oh, now it's up to 2,000. Oh, now it's up to 2,500. And then at one point it was like 3,300, and I was like, it's not worth that much. So I went and got another. Looking back on it now, probably should have just paid the 3,300 and probably would have saved myself roughly $4,000 in the long run had I just kept my car that already had 200,000 miles on it. So, yeah,
I'm just gonna stick to hitchhiking. That's so much cheaper.
Well, I mean, you have less. I can't say you can't really do the bus anymore because people are getting stabbed on the bus now.
I know.
Yeah, you're running out of options. Now you're gonna have to get one of those little like motor scooters, those little bird scooters. I don't know if they still have those. Yeah, maybe that's the only way to be safe in 2025 now. Also, Cider's here without his hat. By the way, his hat was not stolen or destroyed. He just absolutely refused to wear one tonight. So. Just in case you were wondering.
It's in the other room, and I can't be bothered to take 15 steps to go over there and come back. 15 steps in total. I just can't be bothered. I'm looking at it. I'm just like, it's too far.
Nah. Like, literally, we've been talking now about your hat for like 9 minutes. You had more than enough time to just grab the old mainstay cap. It's like, no, he's not going to do it. So we're going to go raw dog here tonight. So that's all we're going to do here. Introducing all of you guys.
Also,
here.
though, I just want to say, though, before we run too far away from that, it amuses me to picture you folding yourself into that tiny Chevy Sonic.
Yeah.
Because no offense to your car or anything, or your choice for vehicle, but like, that is a small, compact piece of shit car.
That is a very tiny car. And I was like, Jacob folds himself origami style to get in that car.
Like I said, it was at the time period at the height of all the COVID nonsense. My car broke down. I needed another car. There wasn't a great selection of used cars at that time period. There was really no cars whatsoever. So that was literally my only reasonable choice at that time period. So I literally got stuck with that one.
I have a stupid question.
What?
Okay, so are mini trucks banned in your state?
No, the problem is that, especially in my state, because trucks are so popular, any halfway decent truck is going to run you about 15 to 20 grand. Doesn't matter what year.
No. The Japanese mini trucks. the little like four banger
Like
motorcycle engine
Mazda, the
trucks.
Mazda B2000,
Yeah,
and like
the
the
little.
Toyota, and I know what
You
you're
see them
talking
in
about.
Japanese shows all the time at construction sites. They're
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about.
you
Yeah,
know,
no.
tiny truck.
There's
Yeah.
a politically incorrect term for them in the state of Washington while I was living there that I'm probably not going to say right now, but they were very common. You know, like beater with a T trucks. You know, that you could kind of just like, you know, throw your work stuff in the back. You
Yeah.
know, run up
It
over 200,000 miles on. You know, relatively reliable. So.
had a motorcycle engine in it. So you just beat the shit out of it, then go to the
Mhm.
junkyard and get another motorcycle engine, slap it right in there. So as long as you're not doing a lot of highway traveling, man, you're good to go. And see, that's the thing is that you can get that straight out of Japan with less than 100,000 miles on it. You get it shipped right to the local port, whatever one's close to you, for $6,000. And the thing doesn't have 100,000 miles on it. It literally was bought to work a construction site, and they're like, I don't need this anymore. So they put it up for sale, and the company's like, oh well, some American might want to buy this, because to them it's junk, and they don't care. They don't have a use for it after this. Over here, we're like, cool. I'll put a Kawasaki engine in this and outrun the police.
What you understand is that Jacob bought his car from a Happy Meal, so he may want to upgrade from there, right?
Yeah. Right, you got it in Happy Meal.
But put it to you this way: the place that I bought the car from no longer exists. They went out of business about a year ago. That should have been a sign. Yeah, that should have been a sign. But hey, it is what it is. We are here on all three platforms: YouTube, Rumble, and X. So let's go ahead and introduce everyone in the chat.
I have such bad news for you, Jacob.
What?
Look, this is you could have did this, man.
They knew you were a sucker, and they offloaded Sonic on you as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
You got yourself the 1999 Subaru 4-wheel drive, dude. This thing's got all-wheel drive on it.
I've seen those. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that.
I'm pretty sure Cider just watched an episode of O Ranger where one of these got destroyed, and he was like, "Hey, you ever thought about getting one of these trucks?"
No, like I watch a lot of Japanese media to begin with. It's outside of Super Sentai, and these things are like unkillable. Like even after the tsunami, they were digging these things out and just starting right up, ready to go. Where do we need to go, boss? Mm-hmm. We are ready to serve.
That's what I want, a Savage title Japanese truck.
Yeah, right?
Tsunami and everything.
Where did this thing go through? What didn't it go through?
Neozoic. Neozoic has a question here. It says that which comedy drama film which critiques media culture would you rather watch? Sidney Lumet's Network or Peter Weir's The Truman Show? I feel like I'm going to do an episode of Bible Lens on The Truman Show because there's a lot more going on there than just about media culture. But that's to say that for another day. I would pick Network. That would be my choice. Rob, what do you say?
Yeah, so I grew up watching The Truman Show. I always felt like it wasn't dark enough. I mean, I know it's pretty dark. Don't get me wrong. Like it's pretty fucked up what they do to this guy. But you know, I just always wanted, you know, I wanted kind of that sci-fi, you know, just fucked up. Like, oh, we accept this. We're fine with this. But I suppose it's there in the movie. It's just there's a bit of a happy ending to it, or at least a smile at the end with Jim Carrey kind of going back out to the real world. But I'd say Network. I think Network is one of the best movies of the 70s. I think it's probably one of the best movies of all time. How prescient it was about, you know, cable news and entertainment, and how much people would stop asking questions and stop using critical thinking and I don't know, maybe I'm overestimating the general population's intelligence, but I would like to believe that we used to ask these questions. We used to have journalists who, you know, cared about ethics and morals and being able to get to the truth and not be bought off by their corporate stooge bosses. So yeah, I think Network is incredibly just an incredible film overall. So I definitely go with that.
Cider and Eddie, are you guys any film aficionados enough to answer this question?
Sure, I like Network. I mean, The Truman Show's more fun, in my opinion, and that's just, you know. So if you're in the if you're in the mood for something to like confirm why you should hate ABC and Disney, Network is really good for it. Network is good for it. But if you want to laugh at a man being caught in a terrible game of ratings, probably the worst mutation of ratings game you could ever imagine, yeah, Truman Show's good for that. While it isn't dark enough, right, for the subject matter it is kind of like one of those Donnie Darko comedies where it's sort of in your face what the subject matter is, and you should be horrified by it, but it's really not that unsettling. It's kind of comforting that, you know what? It'd be kind of cool to have like a whole dome city of a small town dedicated to making sure I had a good day.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty fucking awesome, actually. If like a whole town of people were just dedicated to making sure I didn't lose my shit. That would be great. Is it a horror or is it one of those utopian fantasy ones, right? Is it? I don't know. Maybe Elon can do that for us, guys. We can all have our own private Optimus-run Truman Show.
Well, don't worry. Give it about 2 years when everyone's out of work and on the metaverse. It's probably going to happen in real life. So there you go.
Yeah, right.
It's already trademarked as Spaces on X. So
yeah, sure. We can have. We could have the metaverse, right? Mark Zuckerberg's like, I knew you'd come here. I knew you'd find this place.
Just Mark Zuckerberg with the beret would just completely throw me off.
Oh, yeah.
I like the Truman Show, and I like having existential crisis once or twice a year, watching the Truman Show and Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. Mm-hmm. Those are really good together.
About 23.
23 is okay. 23 is okay.
The number's 23?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Jim Carrey is like a spirit animal for me, so I kind of lean towards him a little bit more than most. Although I do like The Network, one, because it is a great film, and two, Patty Chayefsky gives the greatest Oscar speech of all time, where he goes out and calls Vanessa Redgrave an idiot and tells her to shut up. When she comes out and like starts being all political and everything, he just says, "Shut up, stupid! You don't know what you're saying. This is a fucking award show." So,
if only we kept that same mentality.
Hold on, the chat right now is just perfect because it's like Terminator Joe's like, "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore." And Leslie's like, "What are you angry about?" No, it's from the movie. It's from Howard Beale fucking telling people to like start.
I'm mad as hell. I'm
so
mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore.
That was a little bit of a boomer moment.
Yeah, hands on the television.
Well, it's a great speech, right? It's a great speech in the network about like, you know, go outside and be mad as hell. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know how this is going to change anything, but we've got to do something. We can't just sit here and take it. And that's a really good motivator of like, hey, don't go burn shit down, but just let everybody know you're mad as hell. And
some grass, please.
But what's fucked up about the whole thing in the movie is you find yourself like agreeing with him, but he's being used for ratings. He's being used by the network. Like they're exploiting his whatever thing he's going through. And obviously he dies, and Peter Finch, the actor, actually died not long after and won the Oscar posthumously. But like that's the fucked up thing, is that this network exploits this guy's health, his well-being, his mental state to get ratings, to this cynical corporate game. And so that's fucked up.
And his boss's speech is fucked up. Like that still sits with me, is when he turns off the lights and pushes the button and it gets all Batman-y in there. Man, it still fucks me when I watch that on YouTube. Like that's just something. It's straight out of nightmares to just have like BlackRock turn to you and be like, "Yeah, no, it's all real, bro."
Ned Beatty. Yeah.
Yep. And then 2 doors down, he goes off and does Deliverance.
Sweet.
Yes, that came out 3 years before or 5 years before 71, I think. So
yeah.
Yep.
Anyone have a favorite Robert Redford performance here? Now I know that the hacky version of this is probably going to be like The Great Gatsby or The Natural. I'm picking Winter Soldier only because I just want to be different. So
that is a very different choice.
I'm just gonna go with, like, I'm not a big Robert Redford fan. I think he's probably one of the most overrated actors of all time, and his film festival Sundance never really produced anything worthwhile like Venice or Cannes. And yeah, I just kind of think he's a liberal blowhard. He's known for All the President's Men. He's really known for his causes. He's sort of a beloved figure, but yeah, I just never really was a fan. So my two movies that I think are definitely worth checking out are very good. Jeremiah Johnson, Came out in 1971, directed by Sidney Pollack, and then 3 Days of the Condor, which is basically about the CIA trying, like, basically stopping at nothing to kill you. And it's just fantastic because it's one of these intelligence thrillers from the 70s that confirmed every terrible thing about the intelligence community. That and the conversation are just fantastic. And the ending, it's like Robert Redford gets away, but there's this feeling that ultimately, like, we're always going to be in the shadows. We're always going to be watching you. You're never going to be free. You're never going to be safe. And that kind of just unrelenting dread is just terrifying. So, I would definitely say those two. Overall, though, not a big fan of the guy. So there you go.
I give him credit for creating Sundance.
But any particular movie?
Sneakers. That was a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And also, what was it? I guess the one movie he did, the Sting and Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Mm-hmm.
Those are pretty good movies. So
there
you go. If you want a good
one, go ahead.
No, just if you wanted to say, like, not bother with the politics of Robert Redford, you can enjoy those.
Those are the two I was going to name.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I forgot that Robert Redford was in the Winter Soldier movie. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But it's Robert Redford when you steal away his politics, as you know, a lot of people tried to do for a very long time. When you steal away his politics, he is a fantastic actor. I come from this opinion as a stage actor, nowhere near his caliber. But it is fascinating to watch the guy just become a completely different person. And granted, he was not like doing what Robin Williams was doing and becoming a completely different type of human being. But Robert Redford was a lot like Brad Pitt. If you had a role of a guy who was semi-stoic, he could do just about anything. Southern accent, guy who was lost in the Orient, pilot, anything you really needed to do with a stoic American man, Robert Redford could fit into pretty easily. So it's fantastic to watch him portray those characters as well. He did a racing one. It's not too different from F1. Is Brad Pitt trying to become Robert Redford? That's
People
weird.
said that in the 90s during Spy Game because they were in that together. But yeah.
He does have that face, that weird.
Maybe he's trying to become like the Robert Redford after Robert. We'll have to find out if he starts a film thing now.
Well, he's going to have to kill Tom Cruise first, so we'll be interested to see how that plays out.
Maybe they'll fuse into one being. We don't know how Xenu has plans for the Earth, you see. We're not high mucky muck grand Cyclops Scientologists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we think we are Freemasons? No. Bunch of losers.
Wouldn't that be funny if they're the same organization? Oh, I'd laugh. I'd laugh so hard if that was the same house.
Oh, this is awkward. Vanya's here, Neozoic's here, Leslie Tarkin is here, Keith is here tonight. Who else do we got here? Yeah, we're going to talk about the Jimmy Kimmel stuff later on here tonight, because this is literally one of the dumbest points of discourse that we have going on right now, but we'll talk about that in full disclosure later on here. So Kira Mita saying that, are you okay? Michigan, no, I'm fine. I'm all right. I'm still here. Did somebody say, well, what'd you tell him, Cider?
No, I said exactly what you said. You've been streaming for 3 years straight, and you wanted to, have some fresh air, live life a little bit outside of the internet.
Yeah,
I told you.
Post-COVID world is post-COVID now. So
I told you, dude. Taking naps is awesome, isn't it?
Well, apparently Rob needed a nap. He's been up since like 3 a.m. apparently. So
yes,
I'm like 70% naps. So.
Dude, I love naps. They're the best.
Mm-hmm. What else we got here? Beautiful Terminator Joe is here as well. Like I said, we'll get to that point later on. Bayona Rad is here. Who else do we got here tonight? Lisa Donald joining us here tonight as well. Double Fett would go with Once Upon a Time in the West. Picking that movie. Nissan is Japanese, apparently, not Korean. So apparently Eddie is wrong at the wrong form of Asian people. So
yes, they are Japanese.
I blame Quaff.
Yeah, right. Just throw him under the bus. Beyond a Rad, like I said, we'll catch all that. Hyundai's oil burns. Yeah, I mentioned that one earlier. It says if it was a pre-direct injection, those Hyundai engines are fire. The newer ones are junk. Yeah, like I said, I want something. Like I said, somewhere like 2000s to 2010. I don't want none of the new stuff because I don't like the fact that the government can basically just turn off your car at a whim. And
I'm telling you. Look at that Japanese car site. You'll find something real hot that's got all-wheel drive, so you can tear up the streets and not worry about flipping the fucking thing.
The problem is that I feel like I'm going to get killed on shipping. Like, I think that's probably going to be the biggest problem.
That's whole price. That whole price is to get it there insured even. $6,000, the whole thing. Remember, the yen is like cents on the dollar, dude.
Yeah, dude, they're gonna rickshaw it across the ocean and everything for you. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I feel like my car's gonna like fall out of like some shipping container into the ocean and never see
That's
it
what
again.
the insurance is there to cover. So they go back to Japan and be like, "Hey, you got another one?" They're like, "Yeah, we do actually."
We do.
How are the tariffs on that? Something like that.
So Japan buckled and dropped their tariffs against the U.S. So we have like I think it's close to 0 or like 10% tariffs. It's way lower than what it was a week ago. Yeah.
Cool.
Ishiba's being kicked out by his own party. They're like, hey man, you have fucked up so bad. We lost an election to the people who run around in orange ties. Okay, we lost an election to those guys. We really need to shape our shit up. Okay, so you're gone. So. Yeah,
Jason Lewis, Terminator, Joe, Beautiful are all here for tonight's episode. So there's a few topics that we'll talk about here tonight, and then a little interesting discussion after a movie that I watched this week, and I'll get some of your guys' take on it. I know Rick watched the film, so he won't be here a little bit later on. Maybe I can go off of him. But let's talk about what happened with the whole Charlie Kirk situation. Now, I know we dedicated the entire last week's show to everything going on with Charlie Kirk, but we will just spend a little bit of time talking about what happened over the weekend, because over the weekend was, I think you could say, I'm trying so hard not to do the hacky turning point, but it was really just a watershed moment for our nation last Sunday. If you guys saw the videos online, like I said, massive numbers on television, on the internet, things of that nature. Charlie Kirk's memorial service happened at State Farm Stadium, which is where the Arizona Cardinals play in Glendale, Arizona. There were people there as early as like 3 o'clock in the morning to get in for that event. Apparently they filled about like 70,000 people into the stadium, and then like another 20,000 to the arena across the street. There was about 70,000 people in total who flew out to Arizona just for this event. Millions of people online. So before we get into kind of the videos and the takes from the actual memorial service, I want to play this video. This is one of the leftist psychopaths, as I like to call them, the demons, who was celebrating Charlie Kirk's death right as it happened. Now, a couple little interesting notes about this. I found out that this woman lives in the state of Maine, particularly South Maine. Does this sound like the normal type of women that you have down there in South Maine?
What is her name?
So her
TikTok
is
better.
It's like
the hobbits that live in Maine.
Yeah, Jacqueline Lamo or something like that.
Oh, Jacqueline. Okay. No, I don't think I know her, but she has an incredibly familiar face. So I may have had a one-night stand with her at some point. So
it is Maine.
There's only 1.3 million of us here, Jacob. We're bound to run into each other, you know?
Yeah. Right.
I will say this.
It's theory.
She has absolutely nuked all of her social medias after her horrific response in the wake of Charlie Kirk's death. And needless to say, not only did she nuke all her social media accounts, not only did she destroy her business entirely, but her take in general, I think, aged like milk. So let's go back and circle back to what she said 2 weeks ago when this whole thing started.
One.
Yeah.
The best part of this whole goddamn thing.
He lives in the woods.
Yeah, right.
The best part of this whole goddamn thing is that he is not martyr material, so his death will mean nothing. It will activate no one. It will impact few. It's just great.
Yeah, way to go. I think as we like to say, womp womp, because it turns out that it did activate quite a few people. Here's a crowd of 50,000 people who were at the memorial. Make sure I get it good there. 50,000 people here that was at the stadium. I thought they said it was like 50 to 70,000 that were in the stadium for this whole thing. But yeah, the whole idea is like, oh, this death was going to mean nothing. No, you're just a dumb. I'm trying not to say what I want to say, but you guys know what I want to say.
Yeah, no,
I'm not a mind reader, Jacob. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of those types of women up here. Believe it or not, women are the majority in Maine, as they are in the entire United States right now.
Yeah.
The issue is that they have. I've realized this recently. There are zero repercussions for women in society. Zero.
Yeah, there's a problem with a little thing called no accountability for women. And I don't want to go too far off track here, but we had an argument about this last night. It was on a completely different thing. But
We did?
No, not us particularly. I'm talking about, I mean the podcasting people. There was an argument about this yesterday, and it was essentially, there was some study that came out here, like it says like 50% of men, or somewhere from like 40 to 50% of men under 30 are now virgins. And of course, the immediate reaction to that, news was that, oh, what's wrong with the men? Why aren't the men going out and having kids and getting married? It's like, so it's always the pre-assumption that, okay, men are not having sex with women. It must be their fault. Something must be done with them. My first question was, why is it not 50% of women under the age of 30 that are virgins? Why is no one asking that question? But it's always the pre-assumption that if men are getting out of the dating scene, it must be something wrong with them. No one ever says that.
Jacob,
well, maybe, yeah.
I got to tell you, I just want to catch you on that one about the 50% of men. Weren't we told growing up that women aren't sex objects? Weren't we told that we can't use them like fleshlights, that we need to love them and own them and be wonderful caretakers of their very special and unique souls? What? No, you're a virgin. Because you respect women and you don't want to just dive into pussy like it's a ball pit at McDonald's.
You're an incel now. Remember that was the term that we crafted in the last 10 years. You're an incel, so incels are bad.
This
and
is
it's like
amazing.
Then it's like, oh, well, you're not getting married because you're too busy watching porn. So they'll blame you for watching porn. They don't actually say, well, what about the women who create the porn? Do you think that's maybe equally an issue?
It's the gun's fault. It's not the people using the gun. And again, the symptom is the pornography, not the problem. The problem is the fact that men and women don't trust each other. That's the problem.
I mean, not that long ago, you had, what's her name? The Catholic lady, Lily Rose or Leela Rose, whatever her name is. She was on a podcast talking about the fact that, oh yeah, well, men don't need sex. And, my man has amazing, willpower and things of that nature. Willpower. You're basically just bragging about the fact that you don't have sex with your husband. And then you wonder why later on your husband, whose needs are clearly not being met, may go on and cheat on you with somebody else.
Or maybe he'll go to Benoit and kill the entire family himself.
Right.
Do you guys not see the problem
to a man? Okay, pussy does to a man.
And okay, I know we're going off topic here. I just got to show one more thing. There was a buddy of mine who talked about, I guess he had went on some kind of a trip to Nashville. He's kind of a socially awkward guy, but he was there with a bunch of his buddies or whatnot, and he was kind of disgusted at the fact that his friends and the women that they were hooking up with were all making out and talking about doing disgusting things. By the way, most of them were either married, engaged, or had boyfriends. And that's kind of like the elephant in the room here. It's like all of these guys are trying to get to the point where they have a relationship, because it's like when you're single, you feel lonely, and it's like, okay, well, if I have needs that need to be met, I need to go find a girlfriend, do all this other stuff, right? But then here's all the added obstacles once you get into a relationship, and then you have to forge that relationship to see whether you want to get married at some point, when you want to have kids at some point. And fundamentally, a lot of guys are just looking at the field, and it's like, I don't see a wife anywhere here. And the big problem is that you have a lot of women who want to be married because they all want to have the big wedding. They all want to have the invitations and everything catered to them. There are very few women who actually want to be a wife. And whenever you have any kind of conversation about that, that's when people get angry. Tommy Loren was on the show not too long ago where a guy just straight up asked him, this guy, okay, you want men to fight for you, to protect for you, to provide for you, all these things. Like, okay, great. Let's start there. What about what a man expects from a woman in a relationship, particularly a marriage? What exactly are you bringing to the table to incentivize him to do all these things for you? And her answer, like almost word for word, was, well, a real man wouldn't expect anything in return. And it's like, well, there it is. There it is. And that's why we're in this situation right now, because it basically is the difference between hardcore feminism and then soft feminism masquerading as tradcons.
And
I will
that's
just
why
say
that.
one thing real quick.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Cider.
No, man, I was gonna close it out. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I definitely think that women are infantilized in this country. Maybe it's the West, I don't know, but it's just like there's no accountability. There's no taking responsibility for when you make a mistake. It's like you always blame it on something. You know, it's like it's never just, oh, you know what? I made a mistake. I'm sorry about that. I'll try to do better next time. You know, it's oh, well, it was because of this, or I have this in my past that's why that happened. And it's like, okay, well, that's fine if that's related to it, but like you still have to take accountability for when you make a mistake or you get something wrong or you lash out at someone, because that's just like what it is to be considerate and a respectful human being. There you go.
Yeah. Like I said, well, we can literally argue about this all day, but we do have to get back on topic here. Yep. So here are some of the things that happened at Kirk's memorial that I think was pretty positive. Marco Rubio, I will say this, not the biggest fan of Marco Rubio for a few reasons, but I think he had one of the better speeches at this entire conference here. I'll play a little bit of it right here.
That we were all created, every single one of us, before the beginning of time, by the hands of the God of the universe, an all-powerful God, who loved us and created us for the purpose of living with him in eternity. But then sin entered the world and
I don't like the shape-shifting you're doing with Gomez Adams.
And so God took on the form of a man and came down and lived among us. And he suffered like men. And he died like a man. But on the third day he rose unlike any mortal man. And to prove any doubters wrong, he ate with his disciples so they could see, and they touched his wounds. He didn't rise as a ghost or as a spirit, but as flesh. And then he rose to the heaven, but he promised he would return, and he will. And when he returns, because he took on that death, because he carried that cross, we were freed from the sin that separated us from him. And when he returns, there will be a new heaven and a new earth, and we will all be together, and we are going to have a great reunion there again with Charlie and all the people we love. Thank you, and God bless you.
Credit was due. I did not expect a gospel message from Marco Rubio, of all people, and I was kind of stunned. And like I said, credit where credit is due. He was kind of the last person I was expecting that from, but this is kind of the theme that we saw here on Sunday night, and this is the one thing that I was initially concerned about, giving some of the people that were there, like Tucker Carlson and a few other people, even what's his name, JD Vance. I was like, are we really going to hear anything biblical from these people? Cause I feel like he had a great opportunity to do so, but like I said, credit where credit was due. There was a message out there that was given. This was Charlie's pastor here who spoke a great gospel message, and from what we're hearing, a lot of people turned their life over to Christ at this event. We'll see how that unfolds in the future, but like I said, this is, I think, probably the best case scenario for those who were looking at what was going to happen at this event.
Where the arrow lands, that's called the sin distance, how far you've fallen from perfection. And there are none righteous, no, not one. We've all missed the mark, the bullseye. And we try to get to God by our efforts, but there is no effort that will bring us back into the presence of a righteous God. You see, the wages of sin is death. Charlie knew this, and at an early age, he entrusted his life to the Savior of the world. Jesus came to this earth, was tempted in all ways, yet was without sin, was crucified upon a cross. His blood was poured out because blood must be shed for the remission of sins. And his death upon that cross was sufficient for all the world's sins, but only efficient for those who, like Charlie, would receive him as their Savior. Jesus has come to seek and save that which is lost. And I would say this to all of you. The Lord loves you. He wants to save you. He wants to give you a new life. He wants to cover the multitude of your sins by the blood he shed upon the cross. The Bible says if you believe in your heart and you confess with your tongue Jesus is Lord, you will be saved to the glory of the Father. You see, Charlie looked at politics as an on-ramp to Jesus. He knew if he could get all of you rowing in the streams of liberty, you'd come to its source, and that's the Lord.
Another reason why I'm using this video here too, and you'll definitely see it here with the Erica Kirk video, which I'll play for you guys in a second, is that I think everyone saw AOC's comments, I think maybe like a day or two before this whole thing happened, where she was basically slamming Charlie, slamming his beliefs, slamming his values. There's obviously, if you guys haven't been paying attention the last 2 weeks, there is a large gathering of individuals, which is what I will call them now because I'm trying to be nice, who are really trying to gaslight you into believing that Charlie and the people who represented Charlie are the bad guys in this scenario. And I think what happened on Sunday is that anyone who saw what happened on Sunday and felt disgust or anger at what happened, keep in mind, this is a complete 180 from what we saw several years ago with George Floyd. When George Floyd died and cities were burned down and people were killed and people were injured and businesses burned down and all this anger, crime skyrocketed. Most places still haven't recovered from that crime. Laws were changed, so in a lot of places, things got significantly worse from the fallout of that. And that's what it was like when the left is angry. When the left is angry, that's the type of imagery that you can expect. There's a lot of people on the right who are very, very angry by things that have happened over the last 2 weeks. But this is what the anger essentially culminated into. So keep this in mind the next time you're listening to people on the left trying to tell you that somehow these are the bad guys in the story, that somehow these are people on the wrong side of history. And I'll play just a little bit more of this here.
The Bible says that when one sinner gives their heart to the Lord, the angels in heaven rejoice. And I got to tell you, there's one up there right now, Charlie Kirk. He's stoked and he's excited about your commitment to his Savior. For this remaining moment, if you've given your heart to the Lord and someone is seated next to you, I want that person who's a believer to stand and pray with you. And please, up on the screen, I want you to take a picture of this QR code. We are going to give you everything you need to walk this walk with Christ. Faith comes from hearing and hearing from the Word of God, and it's time to get into a Bible-believing church. And pastors, if you didn't want to give Charlie Kirk the time of day, these folks are going to be showing up at your church, and they're there because of his life. God bless you, and may the Lord keep you. Amen.
And then this is the last video that I'll play here. This is probably the most heart-wrenching of them all. This is Charlie's now widow, Erica, who gave a speech, very, very emotional one. And again, to the people who are going to try to convince you that somehow these are the bad guys of the story. This is a woman completely heartbroken at the fact she just lost her husband 2 weeks ago. And she had there, using her faith, forgiving the man who was responsible for murdering her. Not because she wanted to, because she knows that that's what her faith wanted, that's what Jesus wanted, and that's what Charlie wanted. And you can just see the emotional break in her face. And a lot of people reacted very, very strongly to this. We'll play this real quick.
Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him.
But don't worry, guys. The hate is definitely coming from both sides. That's the big takeaway here. No, it's actually not. But I looked at what happened there, and I think that what we saw Sunday is going to change a lot of people's minds and a lot of people's hearts. Now, I don't know exactly what that means for our future, especially over our future over arguably the next year, maybe the next couple of years of how this whole thing plays out. But I think a lot of people, and somebody mentioned it perfectly on Twitter. This incident that happened with Charlie Kirk, his murder that happened a couple of weeks ago, has either softened a lot of people's hearts over the last couple of weeks or hardened a lot of people's hearts over the last couple of weeks. And I don't think it's very hard to figure out who's been softened and who's been hardened by this. This could, like I said in last week, I feel like what happened with Charlie, given who he was, and he really was just a moderate Christian conservative voice for the right, and the reaction to his murder and everything going on to it, I feel like that this is ultimately going to backfire worse had they had tried to successfully kill Donald Trump, because I think that a lot of people identify with Charlie. A lot of people kind of see themselves in Charlie, and seeing that, if the enemy hated Charlie this much, then I know for a fact they hate me just as much as they hate Charlie. And like I said, this is going to swing things in a huge direction for the right. What they do with it in the course of the next 2 years is, like I said, completely up in the air. But I think that the left is going to have a serious problem moving forward here, because I think everyone's kind of been exposed to the fact that, no, you're not actually the good guys in this story, and less people are believing otherwise. So we'll see where this all lands, but I think that what happened on Sunday was everything that needed to happen, and I think that was a very, very positive event and very, very good event. Rob, I'll start with you, then we'll circle around here real quick. What is kind of your thoughts on what happened on Sunday? Did you watch any of it? Did you see any of the clips and comment? What was your general thoughts on the whole thing?
Yeah, well, no, I didn't watch it because I was watching football. So that's really what takes precedent in my life. But no, I mean, I definitely was seeing the reaction on Twitter. And I saw, I certainly saw footage of the event, and I mean, that's an impressive turnout regardless of what it is, but certainly for somebody who, I mean, I don't think I even realized the reach that he had, with how gifted he was, how talented he was, who he brought into Turning Point USA, who he got interested in politics overall. So all that's like really good. But I mean, you see the family he built, you see the the relationship he had with his wife, and it's moving. It's very touching to see that. I just think it's so hard to do that in front of so many people. You know what I mean? Like that's hard. It's hard to have a personal, vulnerable moment like that. So yeah, I'm sure it's not easy for anybody. So, and all of the response has been positive for the most part. Now, you just have people that just want to throw mud or just want to create chaos, I suppose. And you're going to have that regardless of what is being talked about, what's being discussed or looked at. But I just think those people ultimately get drowned out by all the positive support, all the prayers, all the well wishes, all of the people that were moved, all the people that feel the need to convert or become Christian or what have you. So I mean, I've been reading some of the tweets that they put out with the people that showed, the number of people that showed up, but also the number of people that are interested in like joining the church. So yeah, I just think overall it was a very positive event. It's trying to see a silver lining in something terrible is that all these people came together and had a nice moment. So I can definitely say that.
Yeah. Eddie, what was your take on what happened on Sunday?
Like Rob, I tried to not pay attention to it much, mostly because it probably depressed the hell out of me. I don't do really well at funerals, so. But I saw the clips, and it seemed like everyone was speaking from the heart. It seemed like everyone had had something real to say about Charlie and the whole situation. And I'm glad that a lot of people probably came to Christ for it. The one thing that it's weird because I have a personal story. I don't want to get into mine, but I saw online that there was a lot of people going after Erica for forgiving the shooter.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like I can understand where those people are coming from. But ultimately, I'm kind of happy that she forgave him because you don't want to live that kind of grudge your whole life, and it's not really something that you can change either way. I mean, you're gonna have your day in court, and you'll be able to actually get at least a little bit of justice for what happened. So I would just wait until then to start, going on the whole, hey, let's try to, gin up some hate towards her for not saying we should go to war right away. So, but yeah, it was a good service. And again, R.I.P. Charlie. The worst thing is I hope his kids are okay. That's the ones I care about.
And to that point, there was a lot of people, and I think it kind of shows you, I guess, a little bit of a spirit of vengeance there, because it was like, well, yeah, why would you, forgive, his killer who hasn't even gone to trial yet, and there's a lot going on with that whole story. But I think kind of the big point, and this is what you can see, like the pain in her voice. Like I said, her doing that was not easy, and you can tell that it wasn't easy. But the reason why is because, and then the grand scheme of things, especially if you're a Christian, you're ultimately hoping, praying that one day Christ will look at you and forgive you for all of the sins that you've committed in your life. And we all like to fancy ourselves as good people, especially when we're comparing ourselves to murderers and rapists and stuff like that. But there's probably a lot of bad things that we've done in our life, and then there's a ledger for that, right? Like there's going to be a payment for that at some point. And none of us actually want to pay the penalty for our own sins in that regard. So we're asking Christ to forgive us for our trespasses, while at the same time refusing to forgive the trespasses of others. So it's very, very hypocritical in the sense of, if you're a Christian, wanting forgiveness but not being willing to forgive others. And that's kind of the big conflict here in a lot of people. Now, I get it. If you're a secular person who doesn't care about all of that, then yeah, by all means, go full Frank Castle. But at the same time, in the course of doing that, you're basically putting yourself in the same ledger as the killer, right? And I talked about this a little bit on Sunday with this from my own personal perspective. I love the Punisher. Punisher is probably my favorite comic book character. And it's the idea of a guy whose wife and kids was brutally murdered by the mob. He decides he's going to get his own form of vengeance. He starts killing mobsters, gangbangers, cartel members, whoever it is who's deemed a bad person is in his way, right? Is it morally right to essentially get your own vengeance? It's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, because I can say that if someone had did something horrific to a member of my family, I don't know if I would have the same strength and resolve to forgive that person like she did. So I'm not going to judge her for doing that, because I know how big of a leap of faith, quite literally, that is. But at the same time, for the people who are all angry about it, it's like, well, look, do you want civil war? Because that's really the only, especially with how close we've gotten here in the last couple of weeks, that's only the other realistic step, that we're going to start going after the left and taking out some of theirs. Is that really what you want? Because at that point, you're talking about all-out chaos, and you're not going to be able to put the genie back in the bottle at that point in time. So it's one of those things where you really have to think this one through and ask yourselves, is this really what you want? Because if we do go to this step, you're not going to be able to come back for it, and that won't be good for a lot of people. Cider, what's your take on the Charlie Kirk memorial last Sunday?
I watched the whole thing. Like I commented in the DM group there, I thought it was quite surreal to live stream someone's remembrance ceremony, I guess. Not quite a funeral. The body wasn't there, obviously.
Yeah.
And it was just very bizarre. I'm just not used to this as a country mouse. So like watching this was very, Hollywood, I guess. It just seemed very overblown, But I understand that Charlie Kirk is a very important person to the world, not just America. So I understand the circumstance demanding such an event, but it just felt really crazy, like really way over the, I don't know, like I said, surreal, just completely out of place. So I was expecting like a monster truck rally to start up, like, just kind of to top it off, like something crazy, because
it's Arizona, not Tuscaloosa.
But
I don't know.
Like, I agree though with what Cider's saying, because, and again, this is my own perspective. I'm interjecting here real quick. Is just that it felt a little like, it's like it felt a little like, that's the best word for it, I suppose, is surreal. But it felt like almost like a satirical or something, because it was like, it just felt it was just an insane response, to, and again, I'm with everybody, like, just how shocking and awful that the whole thing was, of Charlie passing and being shot and murdered. It's just like, and then there's just this massive outpouring of support, with undoubtedly people being affected by it.
And like I said, this honestly could have been a moment to bring a lot of people together, just more than just the right. This could have been a moment to bring a lot of people together, to be like, okay, maybe we do need to get our shit together and cool it, right? But like I said, just immediately afterward, the left for several weeks just celebrating his death like it was actually a good thing. Like, there's people who are happy that he was killed in the fashion that he was killed. Again, this is not a guy who suffered a heart attack and then just dropped out. Like, this is a guy who was brutally murdered in front of a large group of people, and they're happy and they're celebrating this. So you have one side that is going out of their way to slander this individual. Meanwhile, you have this completely other side where everyone's coming together in sombrance and all over the world too, not just here in the United States. You guys seen the videos in London and in South Korea and Australia. Like, there was a big impact all around the world. And I think that in the grand scheme of things, this is what I alluded to last week. It's like, why did God allow Charlie to die in the manner that he did? Because I think that this was a litmus test for a much bigger end game here. And when you see the reaction from both sides of the aisle, you see quite literally who, obviously, the people who are indwelled with the Holy Spirit, people who have the Spirit calling them, who are not quite there yet, but they're not completely far away. And then I think you did see the look of people, or quite literally the reaction of people who, in my personal opinion, you can choose to disagree with this, I think that these are probably people who are probably too far gone at this point. That's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong. You can say that, well, I wouldn't go quite that far. But to me, looking at what had happened, if your immediate reaction to what happened to Charlie was to celebrate, or even going as far to justify what happened to it as if somehow it was his fault or somebody else's fault that happened to him, and it's like, to me, you're so far removed from a soul. I just don't see any way to come back from that. Maybe there's going to be some kind of act of God and there's a light switch moment and everyone, it comes to reality. But for those people, I really don't see it. For that main chick who was out there celebrating, said that that Charlie's death was going to mean nothing and that he wasn't a martyr and all this stuff. Well, guess what? You're wrong. So I don't know what more left is to say to people like that, but there is something good happening right now. Not to say that there's not potential for bad to happen down the line, but I think that overall this was a good thing for our nation. It kind of at least cooled off a lot of anger from our side and gave people optimism and hope for the future, because it was looking pretty bleak there a couple of weeks ago. And like I said, we were basically a firecracker away from opening the bottle and not being able to close it again. This feels like, okay, now we at least have something to move forward to in the future so that this powder keg, at least for now, doesn't completely explode. So I think overall,
Sorry, Jacob. This is a really good feel-good moment, really like kumbaya, but the left didn't join in. Almost uniformly, the Democrats rejected any type of quiet remembrance and honor of Charlie Kirk in the House of Congress.
More than once.
Right. And they were rowdy about it, too.
Yeah, what's embarrassing is that they trumped up this stupid fucking Jimmy Kimmel thing. Why, even before the whole thing was going on, or as it was going on?
Like I said,
it was like,
we'll get to this here at the end of the show, but they tried so hard to make Jimmy Kimmel a martyr figure, and it did not work at all. People were not buying it. We'll get to that later on here. But cited to what you said here, it's like, look, I'm not saying that there's going to be any kind of unity or kumbaya moment with the left. I think that they've absolutely exposed themselves at this point. I think
what
that
I'm
bridge
trying to
is.
Tell you, Jacob, is that this is probably the worst thing that could have happened. Right? Not that that's not like a good thing that this man was remembered in a good way, but what we call this is the failure of expectation. Because now the right is like, okay, so we're calmed down. We're not going to go have a civil war. Then the left is going to go kill somebody again. They didn't change. They didn't have a change of heart this weekend. Not at all. They didn't calm down. They're all making their plans still. Antifa is a terrorist.
The left still wants you dead.
Donating to them. Yeah, they didn't change their mind about this at all. We may have, but they didn't. So they're going to go out and do this. And that's going to defeat the expectations of everybody who saw this, heard about it, interacted with it. And that's going to close the door to forgiveness permanently. Because they're in the mind that we're all on the same page now. 1 million people saw Charlie Kirk's funeral. That's going to change everything, guys. No. And that's the worst thing, because this is how Hitler gained his power, is that the people who opposed him went out and tried to kill him over and over again. And what do you know? That only made him look good to his people, who then shut the door to forgiveness to his targets. And then he was given carte blanche to do whatever he wanted to them. Ta-da!
Like I said, I do think in the future we're going to reach that point, because like I said, I read the whole scriptures for you guys last week. Just check out last week's point. It's going to happen. The question is, how much longer can we delay that point from happening? And like I said, who knows how close we are. And one point to Leslie's point here, and this is something that I mentioned on a different show as well, but I know that the parallel to Paul is always, well, Paul was a murderer. He murdered Christians, and then obviously he found Christ, repented, and he became the apostle of the Gentiles. There's a little piece of context that's missing in there. Paul was killing Christians because he was a Judaizer, which meant that he was one of these people who thought that Christians were blaspheming God. He thought that he was doing the will of God, which is why he was killing Christians in the first place. It wasn't until Christ corrected him that he repented from what he was doing before and then moved into a place of faith. Paul's situation is not the situation that you see here with a lot of modern leftists. Paul wasn't going out there just murdering people because he loved murdering people. He was misguided in thinking that his killing of Christians was doing a will to God. It's a direct reference to, I think it's John 16:2, where Jesus says that they're going to take you out of the synagogues and kill you for my name's sake, right? It's a direct reference to what he was doing there. A lot of these people are not doing this because, they think that they're doing some greater will. A lot of these people are just evil and bloodthirsty. So there are some people out there who are just wicked. They're just wicked, evil people. And like I said, their reaction to this whole thing exposes their hearts and in their minds more than anything else that we've seen. Probably worse than 2020, worse than anything that happened in 2016. Because like I said, now the line has been drawn at blood. We're now celebrating blood. That is literally what we're doing now. This is a step further than anything that we've seen here in the last 10 years. And like you said, they're not, they're not like, oh man, we really screwed up killing that guy, or hey, maybe we took this thing too far. There's no questioning or repentance from anyone else who's been doing all this over the last couple of weeks. They're going to keep ramping this up into, it's going to get to a point, and I'll just say it very, very plainly, you will reap what you sow. You think that, you're on this war path, that you're going to, purge the world of all the bad people who you don't like, and then you're going to reap what you sow, and it's not going to end well for you. It's going to end horrifically for you. And that's kind of where we are here. So that's all that I have for the Charlie Kirk situation. Now, hopefully no one else gets murdered in the course of the next couple of weeks, so we can kind of go back to entertainment-related things. But I want to move over to just one more topic here, and that's the whole Candace Owens situation. Now, Candace Owens, I will say this. There's a lot of people on the right who have exposed their wickedness in the course of this whole situation. Now, they're not going out there and calling for blood or celebrating death or justifying death like many on the right have. However, what the people on the right have been doing over the last couple of weeks is that they've essentially used Charlie Kirk's death as a soapbox to push their agenda, which just so happens to be against the Jews in Israel, right? So Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, Ian Carroll, a few other people have basically used. Actually, Fuentes has pushed back against this, and I think he's realizing that, hey, look, if we just start blaming everything on Israel and the Jews, no one's going to take our movement seriously. So he's actually called out Candace Owens on this whole issue specifically, because Candace, who years and years ago was part of Turning Point, was close to Charlie a long, long time ago. She kind of drifted away from Charlie, did her own thing, went to the Daily Wire, drifted away from the Daily Wire, and now her 24-hour crusade is everything is the fault of Israel and the Jews. So of course, when Charlie died, what? Go ahead.
You're telling me So you're telling me that Nick Fuentes, the guy that has built his brand on the Jews did it,
Yeah.
went to Candace Owens and said, "Hey, this anti-Semitism stuff's getting a little out of hand, honey."
I will play the video for you
right now.
I will play the video for you. He literally had to be
That's
like,
amazing.
We need to stop. Like when Nick Fuentes is like, you guys are getting a little out of hand. That's how you know
right?
that. Yeah, exactly.
That guy.
I just wanted to ask you guys real quick. Do you think he's a Fed? Because I've heard this.
Yes.
I think he's another 3-letter F word that we can't say here on Yes.
No, but seriously, no. I definitely think that, but because I've seen enough evidence. But no, I've kind of had a sneaking suspicion that it's just to kind of like, agitate or rile people up. And it's
Ask
like,
yourself 3 questions: how does he stay alive? How does he stay on the internet? And who is watching him? And then once you start to answer those 3 questions, it becomes pretty clear that he glows in the fucking dark.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this is Nick Fuentes. This is Nick Fuentes saying, "Hey, look, you can't just blame Israel and the Jews for this if you have no evidence. This is a real video."
Start off with sticking his tongue out. Come on, Nick.
At least he's not playing with Minions dolls
or furries.
And if there is any evidence, I would implore Candace Owens to produce it. Candace Owens,
produce my evidence.
You are insinuating
Show me the
that
video
Israel
of
had a
Netanyahu
hand
on
in
the
Charlie Kirk's murder. That's what you're doing. If you have evidence,
I have photos of you
must
kissing the
produce
wall.
it. I saw Candace on her show today. She said, if you keep pushing me, then I will name more names. No, it doesn't work like that. You don't get to insinuate that a foreign government killed a high-profile American citizen and then say, I'm going to release the evidence under these conditions. Nah, you need to release the evidence now. She says that she has a copy of the letter that Charlie Kirk sent to Netanyahu. You need to produce that letter. Sorry. You can't drag it out on your show for clicks. Oh, more receipts tomorrow, more receipts behind the paywall, more receipts any day. No, sorry, you gotta put up or shut up now. It's getting, Charlie Kirk's own pastor, Turning Point USA, is saying it's getting to be offensive almost. So, for someone that wants to get to the bottom of everything and overturn every rock and produce all the receipts, she's not being very forthcoming.
You've gone off the deep end when Nick Fuentes has become the voice of reason on a topic regarding Israel and the Jews. So I just want to point that out here. But this is the video. I mean, there's many videos of Candace here, but this is one of the ones that have gone the most viral about her insinuating that perhaps Israel had something to do with the murder of Charlie Kirk.
And it's not a good sign when somebody has to ask you, as Greta Van Susteren asked Bibi Netanyahu in his secondary hit regarding Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Like when the black
it's not
girl
a sign if somebody
Chinese
even
restaurant.
has to ask if you did have anything to do with the assassination. Doesn't make you a great person. Okay.
He has to answer this question because you're the one saying that he had something to do with it. It's like, it's this thing where it's like, we're going to basically say that you killed him for like a week. And then when he finally responds to, so did you kill Charlie Kirk? No, I didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Oh, so he had to come out and make a statement about how he didn't kill Charlie Kirk. He must be in, like, no, you're the ones pushing it in the first place.
Okay. And that's what she asked him. Take a
a
listen.
Rachel Ziegler face.
Before I let you go, I want you to address one thing, and it's just the absurdity of it. Some of the internet rumors that somehow Israel is behind the Charlie Kirk murder, and I don't believe it for 1 second, but I want you to make a statement. It's so absurd.
That's insane. That's insane. Israel also changes the orbit of the moon. Israel pushes the sun. I mean, the whole thing is. It's not only insane, I think it's so
Now, let me tell you about how the end of the world is going to happen because I said so.
You can't believe that people are saying that. They just found the perpetrator. They'll get to the bottom of this. But they go, they have no limits. When you hate Jews, when you hate the Jewish state, you're willing to say anything and promote all these absurd rumors. And by the way, they're willing to kill us all the time. I mean, that's what they're doing. And you know, over the centuries, when Jews, especially in the Middle Ages, the horrific Middle Ages,
when the white people were running things,
the worst things were said about Jews you couldn't possibly believe. We were
the Romans, who let's be honest, when they mix with the Persians, they're barely white. But that's a whole other conversation.
poisoning the wells. We were drinking the blood of Christian children. You name it. I mean, these things that continued actually up to the Holocaust. The Nazis said the same thing. You know, we're carrying vermin, we're spreading disease, and people
because our delis were dirty doesn't mean
every
a
time they
thing.
believed that this was a prelude to a great.
Quick sidebar. Does anyone have a Jerusalem bakery anywhere near them, or is it just me?
I love it. I love a Jewish bakery.
Maybe don't remind people of the
fuck is a
Weimar Republic.
Jerusalem bakery. What the hell is that?
I'll explain to you guys here in a second. Oh, almost pressed the wrong one here. So
I love a Jewish chicken too. That's a good chicken.
So somebody pointed this out here. Let me get this link here. Somebody pointed this out a while ago, and it's actually pretty interesting when you think about it. I think Candace has officially been a Roman Catholic now for maybe a little over a year, maybe a year or two when this whole thing happened. Because you remember she got married to some guy. What happened?
She was black.
All of Candace's crazy fucking faces. Like the first frame is.
You're just laughing at the side of her face. I haven't even said anything yet.
It's been a while since I've looked at her. Okay, it's been a while. Okay, so admittedly, it is catching me off guard.
It's every horrible action figure face.
Right?
But she did a photo by like a year or two ago where she had just got confirmed into the Roman Catholic Church. And by the way, I noticed the black and white checkerboard there, Freemason sidebar. But then she took a photo. She's like, okay, I'm a Roman Catholic now because my husband's a Roman Catholic, so we're all in on the Catholic Church. It was almost immediately at that moment that she became, okay, you know what? Let's start asking the Jewish question. Let's start questioning the Jews and what are they really up to here? And I noticed it was right at that moment where it happened. So am I saying that the Roman Catholic Church is kind of the root cause of anti-Semitism all around the world? Am I saying that?
Well, there was a time in the 30s.
Who told you to talk?
No, I'm not. Like, come on. You let everyone speak, and I can't. Come on.
I was going to let you be the first person to talk here when I was done.
Censorship. No, just throwing in real quick. In the 30s, during the Depression, there was a Catholic priest, Father Coughlin, who was spreading a lot of anti-Semitism right before the Second World War. So there is an unfortunate connection. I'm not saying that Catholics by themselves are anti-Semitic, but there has been certain elements within Catholicism that get on a soapbox and get and keep saying it's the Jews, it's the Jews, it's the Jews.
And to be fair, when I say the Roman Catholic Church, I'm talking about literally the institution of the church, not individual Catholics. Just like when I criticize Islam for being a demonic religion, that doesn't mean that all Muslims are demonic, just most of them. But yeah.
It is shocking to me how when I'm not even trying to
just saying
Israel, they pop up in everything. I think this is the reason why we don't get to open the Epstein files, we don't get to open the JFK files. Parking aside America, other countries too. You investigate anything. I mean,
quick sidebar. Again, there's a lot of sidebars here tonight. We're still saying that the Jews in Israel killed JFK. Didn't the mob admit to that like 20 years ago? Like, am I the only person who remember? But it was like the CIA and the mob, right? Because like
just the CIA.
Yeah. Well, I saw JFK. It was everyone.
We all saw Godfather 3. That's how we knew it was all connected.
I mean, I recall CIA papers that were declassified during the first Trump administration.
I recall.
Yeah, we did it. That was us.
Yeah, I recall like JFK had gotten with the mob. They allegedly helped him win the election. Then he made some promises about unions that upset them, and that kind of led into a lot of anger, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the initial story. That
and they shared JFK shared a mistress with Sam Giancana.
Well, if anyone here has seen The Irishman, they basically, Joe Pesci's character basically says that they did it, and it's like I call bullshit. Right? And by the way, I love The Irishman. I think it's a great movie, but that thing about the mob doing, I'm sorry, no. The mob killing a president. Do you know how ridiculous that sounds? I'm sorry. The CIA, absolutely. Like I would completely buy that. But like, come on.
It sounds as ridiculous as anything Candace Owens was saying.
I mean, I'm investigating Brigitte Macron, an Israeli blackmail comes up in Morocco.
Oh, that girl with the penis, right?
Yeah, exactly, right. The one that's suing her. And that's the other thing, too. It's like Americans, because we watch so much movies and televisions, we're actually under this guise that, oh, no, the CIA can't operate inside the United States of America. That's not their jurisdiction. It's like, no, that's what they tell you. You guys believe it.
That reminds me, that's another great Robert Redford movie I fell asleep in, Lions and Lambs.
Oh, yeah.
That
is a good one to get sleepy on.
Lions for Lambs.
Yeah.
So I do have
a lot of Iraq war films.
Well, I do have to ask, right? Let's assume that it is the Jews and they're doing everything. What do we do then? What do you want us to do, Candace? What do you want us to do? She never gets to that part. It's always they're doing the thing that we should all be angry about, guys, and then leaves you there.
Well, I have
it's because the quiet part. Yeah, it's almost a final one, right? But this is the problem. Every time you ask, okay, then what do you want us to do? All answers eventually lead to we have to eliminate Israel. That's essentially where we're going, right?
But she's not going there. She's like leading you to that point and then letting you drown yourself.
Publicly.
Right? So it makes me feel like she's also a Fed like Fuentes. Because
Probably.
what do you need people to do right now? You got them angry about Charlie, so what do? You crank that up with the Israel versus Palestine thing, which is also another powder keg that's underlying this Charlie Kirk thing again. It's like a whopper of like Civil War buildup is what we're dealing with here. And the Charlie Kirk thing is that nice crisp lettuce down there, but the meat of all this is we're going to take the Jews out whether you don't like it or not.
The barrel is starting to crack. The barrel is starting to crack, and there's only a few people who are slowly stepping away. That's essentially what's happening.
Right?
It can't be a cheeseburger either, because most Jews are lactose intolerant. So,
yeah.
Oh, sure.
Well, that would not be kosher to mix the dairy and the meat, except for Reform Jews.
Wait, what?
Yeah, there's.
I was going to make a reference to Indian people because I forgot they're the ones who are all with the cows.
I'm just saying,
they can't eat cheeseburgers.
They can't eat
cheeseburgers.
Right, and then they wonder why you want to
they're destroying the world.
Right, and then they wonder why you kick them out of their
Dairy
country.
and meat blend together.
Well, I knew they couldn't have bacon cheeseburgers, but I didn't know the whole thing was off. Like, man, now I understand why they're destroying the world.
No, but Reform Jews can't, because I think they're a little more lax when it comes to keeping dietary laws. Certainly, Orthodox and conservative would not blend. In fact, I think in some Hasidic homes, you literally keep the dairy and the meat into separate refrigerators.
That's nuts. That's crazy.
This is why In-N-Out is a Christian institution.
Yeah, right.
It took people years. Oh, it took people years to figure out that they were sneaking Bible verses under those cups.
Look under the cup.
That's how you do it, Charlie Kirk supporters. That's how you do it. You sneak the scripture in there like they did in China with the little bitty Bibles.
Everything that's being introduced by Zionists, right, and into our society, gambling, a major vice, but drugs, prostitution, sex.
The Jews are responsible for gambling?
Hold on. No. Casinos go back to like ancient Rome. Like, what are you talking about?
She probably, does she think that Hiram Roth is like the average Jew?
You mean Meyer Lansky?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Pretty sure that she thinks that the devil is the average Jew. I'm pretty sure it's just
the devil is Jewish. Confirmed.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just
we Jews.
That's her Christmas
love
special
because we hate Catholics and we hate Jesus and allows us to crush the church. They want to make you guys think that this culture is okay because then they can subjugate your culture. It's convenient for Israel, by the way the towers went down. It was just.
Do you notice how the Catholics talk about the importance of the church? And not the importance of God.
You notice that?
It's almost like they direct people to the church and not Christ, right?
Theory.
Yeah, right.
She's selling this conspiracy theory about how Israel got, called all the Jews in the World Trade Center and told them to not go.
No, you don't understand. Israel made those Islamic terrorists hijack those planes and fly them into the buildings.
Netanyahu himself placed the passports on the street.
Yeah.
That's how it survived the crash.
And the funniest part about that is that there's little actual videos of Islamists celebrating 9/11 when it happened back in 2001.
To be fair, though, to be fair, I would totally believe the Hasidics were the same doing the dance.
There's also Hasidic Jews that were celebrating it, and that's fine because people are crazy. Just like we saw with Charlie Kirk. People are fucking nuts, and sometimes they get caught on camera being fucking nuts.
Right.
You know what? Those what was it called? Sewer dwelling mutants, or whatever they're called here. Those people who live under the
tunnel
hope for the
Jews are a real thing, Jacob. They literally came up out of the sewer grave.
I guess Candace never even called them that.
The tunnel Jews are a real thing, man.
Tunnel Jews.
You don't have to worry about the gators. You got to worry about Hamil or whatever his name is there underneath.
All I want to know is who shit on the mattress. That's all I want to know. Someone fess up.
Like, why the fuck? Why was there a fucking mattress in the tunnels? And why was there shit on it?
They flushed the mattress back in 83rd Street.
I don't know what any of you guys were talking about.
You don't remember when they found those like underground?
You don't remember the tunnel Jews?
Last year, there was a raid on a Jewish temple, and they discovered a false wall that led into a tunnel that the parishioners were digging into the greater tunnel network of New York. Now, the reason why that's bad, right, is because that wall is supporting a massive skyscraper that this church is under. And so when you go destabilizing that, well, we end up with a 9/11 situation in which buildings start toppling over for no fucking reason, though. No plane this time.
You mean like that? You mean like that one in Miami that toppled over 3 years ago? And
yeah, like Building 7, kind of like that one. But
I don't keep up with construction.
Oh, it was a huge thing. It was memes for weeks about Jews climbing out of tunnels.
It was all
and
over
shit.
Twitter.
One guy literally picked up the grate, right? He moved the grate over and revealed that they had cut out the city grate. They had taken a grinder and cut out the city grate, and he and 4 other guys literally climbed out of the sewer grate in all of their Hasidic get-up with their weird little ringlet hair.
Rick, you missed out on Jewapalooza. It was fantastic.
It was crazy. There's a video game called Tunnel Rabbi.
The last time I saw any Hasidics were the trailers for Caught Stealing, which I didn't see. So that shows you how much I keep up with the Hasidic.
You remember how New York was like, you gotta watch out for the gators in the sewers? You gotta watch out for the Jews in the sewers now.
My gosh.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Jews. Hasidics in a half shell.
New York, lovely to visit, but I'm always glad when I can eat.
We still got more.
We can't eat the pizza though, Leslie.
They shot JFK in an open car, so there's not. I mean, he's a sitting president. I mean, obviously, my security doesn't really matter. If they want me, they're going to get me. That's not a normal thought
LBJ was behind the assassination. We all know that. Come on.
Except for the one that took over ours.
That's a different mafia.
Okay, we are an occupied nation.
This is a state that has a hexagram on their flag. Okay, they're even lying about the history of the Star of David. It's a hexagram. It's a cult.
Oh my God, math is a cult. They own it. That's why they're so good at it.
At Muslims.
I didn't realize how crazy she
everyone's
had
awake
become.
to that
I
now.
really haven't been paying attention.
You got a little bit more than a PR problem, Bill Ackman. It is an occult nation. There's no question about that. Everything that they are involved in is occult. The leaders are coming together to find peace, right? Finally, everybody's coming to the table after 3 years of murdering young Ukrainian men. And I think we all recognize that the person that has the most power over all of our nations at this moment is Bibi Netanyahu. Of course, he's the boss. He's the big.
Tight.
Remember when we bombed Iran earlier this year, and then Candace was one of the people screaming, "We're all going to die for Israel. We're all going to die for it," and then no one died for Israel. Remember that earlier this year? Remember that when that was the thing?
When we were bombing the various sites. Yes.
Well, those Iranians died for Israel.
Yeah, that's fair. Fair enough. Period.
Boss Bibi, and he's going to decide when and if and exactly at what moment these wars are going to be allowed to end. Like, oh my gosh, like we have to make sure that a Holocaust never happens.
I make better Jewish arguments against them than
now
Candace
we are
does.
reading the books. We're learning about how you've executed this. You've blindfolded the entire world to what you are. And what I think you might be is possessed by a real demon.
I liked it when
I'm
she was
Catholic,
black and
believe in
trying to talk to
demons,
people. That was a much
and
better
Netanyahu
candidate.
is very clearly a demon.
I don't like this
and
like tan
any
color.
person that supports him,
trying to whiten her
like
skin
you are
off.
part of a like totally demonic enterprise.
I just want to be clear. Anything happens to me, blame the Zionists. Like 1,000% blame the Zionists.
I think
These characters
Whitney,
are just being
in her last days, was more sensible than this woman is now.
I say this all the time, and no one can ever answer this question. Okay, let's accept your premise that Israel is literally the devil. What does that make Islam? And then no one. The best I can get is like, well, they're the devil too. So it's just the devil fighting the devil. He's just out there playing flag football against himself. And then
that was happening. She's turning into like Flip Wilson. The devil made me do it.
into places to serve Israel. That makes Israel the master of the universe. Now,
He-Man!
does all of
He-Man!
this mean that Bibi Netanyahu
has the
and
power.
that this somehow proves?
By the way, geographically speaking, we're talking about a country that is literally the size of New Jersey.
Let's assume that they have all this power and have done all this evil. What do you want us to do about it, Candace? She never gets to that point.
For all the power
What is
that
your
she thinks
solution?
For all this power that she thinks Israel has the record for the most Oscar losses in foreign language film. They can't even win in the industry that they allegedly control.
Well, come on. It's 4D chess.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Have you seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding? Even the Greeks do it better than the Israelis.
First of all, an Israeli film is completely different than a Hollywood production.
Yeah, big major.
Oh yeah, listen, I've seen Emilia Perez. I would take anything that they made in Israel over Emilia Perez.
And Israel was involved in the assassination of Charlie Kirk? No, we have no evidence of that. We can't say that because there is no evidence of that. But I don't like little lies. What?
There's like this
her
cool
idea
jazz
is-
in the
her
background of like the Jews did it, baby.
Her idea is ridiculous. That lack of evidence is evidence.
It's late night Hebrew here in jazz.
It doesn't work that way.
Well, according to her, oh dear.
Yeah.
What happens in the Hamptons is not going to stay in the Hamptons, okay? Bring in our movie poster. I know what you did this summer.
I only know who two of those people are. I don't know
Who takes this woman seriously? I mean, seriously. Cut together.
She should have like.
So now you understand why even Nick Fuentes had to be like, you need to dial it down.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Candace,
think
you're
about
ruining
it.
the
Nick Fuentes
mood,
is
honey.
saying, hey, you know, Candace, you're giving anti-Semites a bad name. That's like completely nuts.
If you keep going on like this, no one's going to take us seriously.
I wonder if she really believes this, or is just doing this just as some sort of shtick, like to.
No, like I said, she
believes it.
She went full death vote Roman Catholic, and then basically people who tend to do that go all against. Let's start questioning the Jews, right? Because this whole thing started with about, well, who's really Israel? The Roman Catholic Church was the one that created replacement theology that said that no, Israel has been replaced by Rome. Can't find that anywhere in the Bible, but that's what they believe, right? And that's kind of what's been jumping this whole thing off for roughly 1,700 left. Yeah, I mean. It's funny enough because when he mentions Rome in the Bible, he doesn't have anything good to say about them whatsoever. Like nothing, not one line.
So, if you were the devil, wouldn't you want to take the place of birth from the holiest of holies? Wouldn't you want to like possess that and do some awful things to make the world hate that place? This is my big problem with Israel today: is you make it very hard to defend you guys. Make it really hard. It's getting very annoying to keep hearing about Israel's involvement in Middle East problems. Okay, now I know this is like the U.S. getting involved in South America in the 70s and 80s. I completely understand what you're doing is you're trying to get ahead of the problem. You need to stop. It didn't work out for us. Okay, it didn't work out for us. Don't do what we did, and that's what we're getting into. Is that like Candace ends up getting an axe to grind because around the world people are waking up that guess what? Israel has a lot of guys out there that are involved in things. However, so does the U.S., so does China, so does Russia, so does Japan, so does Cuba, curiously enough. And that's, again, That's a function of how governments work in the world. They're obviously going to try and work to their own interests. Is Israel having a lot of success at that because U.S. media companies are largely dominated by dual citizens? Yeah. But also the U.S. has the largest economy in the world. We have a lot of Chinese dual citizens as well because our country doesn't fuss over those things. We want to make money. We don't care how we get to it. You know? Problem as it is. And so that's the point I'm trying to make about this is that assume that this is correct, you know? Exactly, in North Korea as well, Sakura Anita. Again, assume that Candace is correct and that Israel is behind all of the awful things in the world. Your milk is spoiled. Bibi Netanyahu planned for that. Yep, that's the whole reason that happened. But
cooling fan in your car broke. Bibi was probably behind it.
Exactly, they planned.
He went and personally just, did some work there.
Yeah.
The Jews make sure that your car breaks down so they can make money off the repairs. You see, right? You see, you understand now?
They are so powerful that they tell my Mexican mechanics to work on the cars to cause damage to
the
it.
patio light in your house doesn't work. Guess what? A Jew's gonna fall out of the tree and run away.
That's right. I was a rabbi that did that. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that, like, if you have all these complaints, you have to have a solution. And the problem is that Candace doesn't want to talk about that solution, just like every other one you hear about this. Now, we used to hang around people who had some pretty dicey opinions about Israel and the Jews. And you'll notice they, too, never got to the whole, what do we do about this conversation? It was always, these guys are doing the things that I don't like, the end.
Yeah.
And so that again, if you want to think about Candace trying to do this for clicks, great. But in reality, it's just a tradition that's thousands of years old that the Jews are bad people because they're bad Jews. And we just ignore that they're bad Chinese, that they're bad Americans, they're bad Canadians, that they're bad Mexicans, that they're bad Europeans. We ignore all that.
There are no bad Mexicans. How dare you? How dare you, Cider?
Well, because
there are nothing but bad Mexicans.
Well, because Jews in the modern era have preferential treatment after the Holocaust in Western countries. And that's what we do, is we just assume that that translates to them having control over industry uniformly. As it turns out, you just can't criticize them because the last time people went criticizing Jews, they stuck them in gas chambers. So
I think you should just convert to Judaism, Rick, because like you take every opportunity to defend Israel and like the slightest hint of anti-Semitism, it's like, and I understand.
I was actually going to say the same thing about Catholics. I thought he should join the Catholic Church as well too. So
well, I do own a yarmulke, so
you could be the first
You're going to be the first Mexican-born Catholic Jew.
We'll just call him a Jew.
I'm not Mexican
born.
born.
My foreskin, so I still have my yarmulke.
I'm not Mexican born.
I just want to stay for the record, okay, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I just want to stay for the record. I completely forgot my point, so go ahead, Rick.
It's on the record.
I'm sorry.
Very tired.
I do have bacon cheeseburgers, so I can't keep kosher.
Yeah.
So
I'm just saying, as a
just
Christian,
because just because I have the entire Barbra Streisand specials collection does not mean that I support everything that is Israeli. All right, so
what a mark.
I think Eddie was gonna. Well, yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say this about Candace. The problem is your face is goofy. And turn off the jazz music. It's really strange. You should be wearing an afro, smoking a cigarette, sitting under a spotlight with that jazz music in the background. Like, the Jews did it, baby. They're behind everything. 9/11, lung cancer, your milk going bad. All of it, baby.
How
You know,
about,
that's
how about a Colt 45?
right. Like, you know,
Billy G. Williams.
he's delirious enough. Have him come by and blame the Jews for some things.
I just think that you can approach this in a lot of like more reasonable ways, you know, like,
Sure.
oh, hey, you know, like AIPAC is a really powerful lobby. You know, like, oh, Israel is basically a Middle Eastern base for all of our foreign policy operations. I mean, Israel like indiscriminately bombs its enemies, which to be fair, America understands. And is pretty in line with. There are things you can criticize Israel about depending on how you go about it that aren't outwardly like anti-Semitic and about like basically being
like you can simply say, hey, look, I don't like that AIPAC censors people and pushes people to push laws that say that you can't criticize the Jews. We shouldn't be doing that, especially in the United States of America.
I'll be honest about something real quick. I'll be honest. I don't like people who genuinely believe they're God's chosen people. Hey, buddy, go fuck yourself. First of all. Second,
you just basically lambasted the entire world, by the way.
Fair. That's always that's always been my problem. Is just, hey, go to everybody else, go fuck yourself. No, but like I've always just taken like, really, you genuine, and it's literally it's in the Bible. It's in the Old Testament. Like I understand, but also like really, like you don't find a little that to be like hubris on a certain level, really? Okay. Anyway, I know I'm probably blaspheming.
Well, not only that, not only that. There's a lot of Christians and Catholics and groups like that. I guess you can even say the Muslims too, because they try to have a claim through Ishmael that everyone wants to have all the promises of the Jews. Everyone wants to have all the promises of Israel. No one wants all of the curses that comes with being the Jews and being Israel. Like I don't know the last time you guys read the Bible. They're not in good standing right now, and there's going to be a lot of bad things that happen over there in the not so distant future. So it's like, do you really want to be the Jews? Do you really want to be Israel?
I will say that this legitimately is the first time that I have heard that the Jews were behind the JFK assassination. I don't remember seeing that in JFK, and I've seen the movie twice. I don't remember them ever saying that.
If anyone was going to say it, Oliver Stone was going to say it.
Combination of Southern businessmen, the mafia, the CIA. I thought all of them colluded.
Yeah, I mean, Scorsese.
I don't remember any suggestions of any secret meetings in synagogues where they were discussing, the assassination of JFK. It was in the tunnels. Oh, it was in the tunnels. Oh, okay, that's fine. Okay.
I'm just saying, as a Christian, okay. As a Christian, I think everyone should go and watch this movie. It's a great movie by the Coen brothers. It's called The Serious Man. Yeah. Right? Fantastic film. And a lot of people like to compare it to the story of Job, right? But if you look at it in a Christian perspective, you realize what it, no, but that's
shut up.
That's what I mean. He's a complete and utter schmuck.
He was a schmuck. He was a nebbish. An absolute. I mean, just a guy. Never mind. I'm not
let him finish.
In a Christian.
Let him finish, huh? Oh, okay. That's a new one.
In a Christian perspective, okay, that's exactly how you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be humble. You're supposed to give humility. You're supposed to give yourself even when the worst things that are happening around you. And when you realize that your brother, the Jew, is a complete lecherous, scamming, always ends up on predator poachers, when you realize that that's your brother and you have to fucking accept him no matter how he comes at you, because you always have to defend him regardless of what goes on. When you realize that about your brother, then, you kind of listen, that's just how he is. I'm sorry.
Look at it from this perspective. Ishmael and Isaac are brothers, and they've been literally trying to kill each other for almost 6,000 years. It's just the way it is.
Half brothers.
Half brothers, but they got the same father, but that they're still trying to murder each other to this very day. So it just is what it is. But
like hanging out at Starbucks or something.
Meanwhile, the Roman twins are wrestling each other, having a good time with each other. So that's why
before one of them kills the other.
I will say this.
Well, that's just Roman.
Romulus killed Remus.
So I watched the film Him last week. I squeezed this one in. Rick, did you actually see this movie too?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so
I'm sorry.
Long story short, not great. Yeah. Long story short, not a great film. But I came to a little realization watching this movie. So the setup of this film here is that this kid is coming out of college. He's supposed to be like the next big thing, going to the NFL. For some reason, the team that won like several championships is looking to draft him first, which makes no sense to me whatsoever because that's not how the NFL draft works at all. So clearly they didn't put in a shred of realism into this movie.
The San Antonio Savers?
Yeah, right. The team that won 8 championships, and we'll get to that too. So Marlon Wayans is playing a quarterback, even though he's like 53 years old. He's playing this aging quarterback who's considering, hey, maybe this is my last year or not. Maybe it's time for me to hang it up or pass the torch to the next guy. So this is supposed to be the next guy in line, right? And then he brings them to his place somewhere in the middle of nowhere, Texas. It's like, yeah, come with me for like a week. You know, we'll train together. We'll see if you're going to be a good fit for, you know, our team or whatnot. So the guy goes over there. He's like, well, yeah, he's the biggest quarterback of all time. He's the GOAT, right? So I'll go spend a week with the GOAT. And then all of these like weird occultic things start happening. And you figure out that all these guys are just complete and total psychopaths and things of that nature. And it's like the whole thing devolves into like borderline grindhouse basically towards the end. There's no really consistent narrative with this film whatsoever, but it's not so much about the film. It's about what is this film supposed to represent. Keep in mind, this is a Jordan Peele produced movie, so his fingerprints are associated with this film one way or another, right?
The substance reduced.
You figure out that, like I said, Marlon Wayans is a player who suffered a horrific leg injury, probably the worst leg injury that would have ever happened in the NFL if this was a real event ever, right? But somehow he comes back from that leg injury and wins 8 championships, and he's the quarterback. So I was thinking to myself, wait a second, are they telling the story of Tom Brady? Is that what this is supposed to be about? Is this supposed to be a Tom Brady movie? Now, on face value, you would think, well, how does Tom Brady and occultic horror make any sense whatsoever? That's when you start putting the pieces together. I found this old interview here, and it led me down a completely different rabbit hole. So I'm thinking to myself, this is probably what inspired the actual film. Now, Tom Brady, in real life, 7-time Super Bowl champion, 6 with the Patriots, 1 with the Buccaneers. Probably the greatest winning quarterback ever. I mean, I think that it's not probably, he is the greatest winning quarterback ever. And there was an interview from several years earlier. Now, this is an interview where he was still with his wife, Giselle, at the time. I think he was still with the Patriots at this. I remember hearing this interview a long, long time ago, and this actually made people stop and think, I wonder what they were actually trying to say with this movie. I'll listen to Tom talk about the superstitions that his wife was involved in when he was out there winning Super Bowls with the New England Patriots. This is Tom in his own words.
Going into the game, any special thing you carried into the game on Sunday that you had tucked away somewhere?
I did. I always, I've learned a lot from my wife over the years. She's so about the power of intention, and believing things that are really going to happen. And she always makes a little altar for me at the game because she just wills it so much. And so she put together a little altar for me that I could bring with pictures of my kids. And I have these little special stones and healing stones and protection stones. And she has me wear a necklace and take these drops she makes.
Surrounded by a Jewish hexagram.
And
by the way, these are all not so subtle odes to witchcraft, by the way, just in case you guys didn't know, but that's what he's talking about here. It's going to get interesting when we get to the end of this video.
Stopped questioning her a long time ago. I did. I just shut up and listened. And at first I was like, this is kind of crazy. And then about 4 years ago, we were playing the Seahawks, and she said, you better listen to me. This is your year, but this is all the things you're going to have to do to win. And I did all those things, and by God, it worked. It was pretty good. And then in 2015, it was about early January, and she said, you know how much I love you? And I said, yeah. And she said, I just want to let you know this is not going to be your year. Oh. And of course, we lost. I said, what does 16 look like? And she said, 16 is going to be your year. So it was early January this year, and I said, babe, asking, do we have a chance? And she said, yeah, but you're going to have to do a lot of work, and you're really going to have to listen to me. So, man, I listened to her. And right after the game, she said, see, I did a lot of work. You do your work, I do mine. She said, you're lucky you married a witch. I'm just a good witch.
Again, Tom Brady, by his own admission, that his wife is literally a witch. Now, Rob, you remember this. Mob, you remember this. Tom Brady's last year. Rob, same thing. You remember Tom Brady's last year.
Ross, you remember this.
you remember his last year with the Buccaneers and what had happened. He had initially retired at the end of the season, realized that he didn't want to stay at home with his wife and kids for longer than a week, came out of retirement several weeks later, and that led to the end of his marriage. Giselle left him, went in with some other guy, but that was kind of the downfall of Tom Brady's personal life, at least in that instance. His final year with Tampa Bay was a very, very mediocre year at best, considering the fact that the year prior, he was putting up one of his best seasons that he had ever put up. I think he was like, 44 at the time that happened. The very next year when he broke up with Giselle, not so much. They won the division. I think they were still like 8-8 or 9-8, something around that time. But then they lost the Cowboys in the first round. And then that's where Tom Brady said that my retirement is like for real and whatnot, right? So people kind of started circulating and putting all the pieces together here. It's like, apparently he was doing all these rituals with Giselle while he was married to her and he was winning all these Super Bowls. And the second he broke up, everything went to crap. So there was actually a question about whether Giselle is actually a witch. Now, again, everything that he's talking about here, the crystals, the law of attraction, this is all witchcraft nonsense. Like, these are all, you can soften it up by saying, oh no, it's only Wicca. It's not real. It's witchcraft. Like, again, you can soften it up how you like. It is witchcraft.
Wait, what the fuck do people think Wicca means?
Yeah, exactly. There's people who are very, very dumb and very, very deceived. Who thinks that, when I do it, it's white magic, so it's not as bad as black magic. It's Wicca. It's not witchcraft. It's like however you need to justify it in your head.
That's racist to assume that white magic is better than black.
Do you have to abracadabra seek hail in order to cast?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. Where's this woman from? Maybe she's from like Norway or Denmark. They do like that black
whitest
metal.
of magics, if you will.
Thing, right?
That's not what I meant. No, they do that death metal, black magic kind of stuff. I wouldn't be surprised. Where's she from? Maybe that's the kind of witchcraft she's
somewhere in Brazil.
Yeah, dude, is she Brazilian? But she's crazy.
But again, Brazil is known for a lot of Baal worship as well. So let's not pretend like Brazil is just like this clean country either. There's a reason a lot of bad stuff. Yeah.
Brazil is the nation that imported more slaves than any other in the New World.
Yeah. So this was an interview that she did, I think right around the time she split with Brady, basically saying that, hey, everyone thinks that you're a witch. What do you have to say about this? And she basically doubled down on all the things that Tom said in that video, saying here that, she's cradle to a wounded bird, revealing that she often communicates with birds and squirrels and butterflies. And it's like, it's an omen. Exactly, right? Maybe it needs to fly, it needs to release, and there's some kind of nonsensical metaphor about birds needing to release. But then here's where it gets interesting here. This is recently divorced. This is right when they split, right? This is right around his last season in the league. And she says that she often shows off her energetic crystals here, talks about the different color crystals that she has here to clear the energy. She likes to do things inspired by Buddhism. She has tarot cards. She has a tarot card deck. It says here she talks about the dynasty of the Divine Mother, which, by the way, is paganism. Literal paganism. Just in case you were wondering where that whole thing is. And then she says, I said, this is why they call me a witch, I guess. She said, if you want to call me a witch because I love astrology, crystals, I pray, and I believe in the power of nature. Again, this is all paganism, because it's like, well, I pray. Who do you pray to? I would love to know the person that you pray to, because I'm pretty sure it's not Jesus, right? And she admitted straight up that, yeah, everything Tom said in that interview was correct, that she's basically a psycho Brazilian witch with a lot of money and a lot of powers. So this is why I believe the movie Him was inspired on Tom Brady. It's literally a story of a super successful football playing quarterback, because we don't have the right to say NFL, who's won more championships than anyone could have possibly won, and it just so happens that all of his success was developed into the occult. So, Rick, you've seen the movie. Is it safe to say that this was inspired in some way, shape, and form by the story of Tom Brady, or Thomas Brady, as we call him here?
I don't quite accept the idea that it's connected specifically to the witchcraft by the Bunchen woman, because the wife in Him was more of an influencer, and she was very creepy looking, and I thought she was like, I'm scared of this woman. So, but I think that I got the connection. I got a connection. I can't say the connection. I got a connection with this longtime quarterback who seems to be defying age, and I could see that it could parallel Tom Brady. I did not think, because I didn't know anything about Giselle, doing spells or incantations or whatever. I don't follow football anywhere close enough to know if they're practicing the dark arts with the wives. I will say that she should have put some sort of spell on 80 for Brady to make it successful, but that's neither here nor there.
I think they were split at that point.
Yeah, I think you could say yes, it was inspired, that the Marlon Wayans character was a Tom Brady like character, but I think it's not exactly the same where they're drawing connections, because if this were true, you would have had the wife be more involved in the witchcraft and the sort of craziness that was going on.
But hold on a sec, but that's what you did see that, because what was it? Julia Fox's character in the film was basically that character for Marlon Wayans. So you did have that in there.
Well, a bit, but again, she wasn't out there. All she was doing was what? Just showing people beheaded, the heads cut off. That's what she was doing.
Well, like I said, because remember, she was having a conversation with the guy, not Marlon Wayans, the other kid. She was having a conversation with him, and she was all talking about the crystals and then the tarot cards and the readings and all that stuff. That was the introduction to her character. She was supposed to be the quote-unquote quasi-girlfriend for Marlon, and then it evolved into her, beheading people and sacrificing people for whatever demonic demon god that they were.
I might have nodded off at that point, because it was just a terrible movie.
It was not great, but it was definitely in there. And by the way, Julia Fox herself is a real life witch too. Go check out her Instagram. It's pretty sinister.
I'd rather not. But I think you could. I did see a connection, not connection, but I could see a parallel with the older quarterback who seems to be defying age. I can say that yes, and they're both called the GOAT, and I really didn't see any proof that either character was this great football player, but no, I could see that, and I didn't know anything about the witchcraft thing, but I don't really see it as the way you do. I just saw it as a terrible film that was trying too hard to be visually interesting, when it was like, you people are just stupid. This is logical. This is not logical on any level, but that's neither here nor there. If you want to see that connection, yes, it's there. I don't quite see it, but I'm not going to openly dismiss it.
Rob, as someone who's a longtime football fan, are you willing to admit that Tom Brady's success comes directly from the devil?
Yeah, I don't.
This is why Joe Montana is the greatest of all time, by the way, because he was divinely chosen by our Christ Lord.
Yeah.
To be the greatest of all time. 4 Super Bowls, baby.
This is why Terry Bradshaw will remain the greatest football player of all time.
Yeah, so no, I don't. But I don't, I tend to not believe in stuff, supernatural shit, and when it comes to movies, especially, like, this is why it's so hard for me to be scared by a horror movie. A, I've seen so many of them, but B, it's just like, it's so like ghosts and demons and like that as an idea is just so fucking ridiculous that I just can't really wrap my head around it. Now I can understand metaphor. I can understand, you know what I mean? Like that's more along like, okay, I can kind of accept that. I can kind of, understand people get possessed by an idea or possessed by, greed or whatever. Sure. I can understand all of that. And certainly people will do a lot of things, steroids mainly, to stay at the top much longer than their body would have naturally held up. And you understand these players have the best doctors, the best surgeons, the very best to keep them in shape year in, year out. You still need to be lucky. You still need to have things break your way ultimately, or not, I should say. But I think Tom Brady got really lucky. I think he was really dedicated and really talented. But I do think it's interesting to point out, like, he was never super buff or super like physically gifted. He was great at taking the ball, dropping back, and throwing it really accurately, especially when the game was on the line. So now if that was influenced by, spells or witchcraft or whatever, man, I mean, I can't, I have no fucking clue, you know what I mean? But I would just say no.
Eddie, as a Oakland Raiders fan, just go with it just for a second, Joe. Are you willing to admit that Tom Brady's football prowess came from Satan?
Absolutely. I 100% believe in witchcraft. And as an Oakland Raiders fan, I know that, Al Davis is Satan, right? So we knew how bad it was going to be at the very beginning. But that's the reason why they went to LA and won so many championships. They didn't come back to Oakland. They got that fucking Tom Brady's the reason why they fucked up the fucking kick. The thing where they screwed up, they gave him the AFC championship. That started the whole thing. So fuck Tom Brady. Anyway, what was it called? The snow kick. Remember that one?
No, was it the tuck rule?
The tuck rule, that piece of garbage.
Yeah.
So fuck Tom Brady for the tuck rule.
He didn't make the call. Fuck the ref who made the call.
But he was there, and he was a Patriot. He should have been in the Bay Area the whole time. That's like
he didn't argue against it, so it's his fault.
He was
Don't
going
hate
to be
the player, hate the game. Okay.
He was going to be understudy for Steve Young for crying out loud.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as someone who believes in witchcraft and believes in all of this stuff, and now that you told me she's Brazilian, absolutely, it was all sex. It's all sex magic. Brazilians believe they're like half animal, like genuinely believe that they're half animal to like different things, snakes or panthers or whatever the fuck is in the jungle. Yeah. Right? So she probably has a lot of that in her. And I haven't watched the movie, but it sounds like something that is inside the sex comedy that I'm writing. I'm still writing the sex comedy. And I need that kind of inspiration for stuff. I can't write that kind of stuff. It's kind of annoying. But other than that, fuck Tom Brady and fuck this witch.
Yeah, so this is Julia Fox. She's in the movie. She's a self-professed witch, so she's not one who hides her witchcraft at all, which is why she looks like a decrepit demon. You might remember her from the movie Uncut Gems. That was kind of like her big break because everyone realized she has a huge ass, like Kim Kardashian. So that's where she got her break, and then she somehow divulged into this thing, whatever this is. So
she was scary looking in the movie.
And that's her normal face now. She's done something to her face, like all these other women in Hollywood have done something to her face.
What was her name?
Shelley Long?
Not Shelley Long.
Why are you dragging her into this?
What's her name? What's her name from The Shining?
Oh, Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall. She turned to Shelley Duvall.
She's not hosting Fairy Time Theater, that's for sure.
The red cardinal thing there, the flowers, carnations, whatever.
American Beauty.
Yeah, I thought it was American Beauty, but
yeah, I think it is supposed to be.
That's weird. That's really weird. That one, I get it's the boobies are there, but it's also really weird.
Yeah,
she's not attractive.
I don't know.
She looks like Wendy O. Williams.
Well, again, it's all about the butt. You got to remember, humanity shifted away from the glory of boobs over to, the truth of ass. So it's hard to,
But you still have to have faith in the face. Harmony.
Yeah, it's true.
That's a good T-shirt, Eddie.
Right? Especially at the end when she's like signed this contract, and I thought, my God, she does. I mean, she doesn't look demonic. She just looks ugly and awful. And like, why is she here?
That's a great T-shirt, though. You got the glory of boobs, the truth of ass, and the faith in the face. That is a good T-shirt, dude. That is a good T-shirt.
Appreciate it.
Somebody would wear that to a monster truck rally.
I definitely would.
To point out Eddie's conspiracy here about Brazil being
now look at that amazing hair. You think that amazing hair came from that 87-year-old man?
Sure.
So this is a video from several years ago, and this is, I believe, the president of Brazil at one point. I don't think he's the president now, but he was the president at some time.
He's not the one that got locked up.
No. So this is
the one that got
an
shot.
incident that I had to confirm multiple times over is not doctored. This is not AI or anything that was edited. It was a very, very interesting moment where he's having some kind of a major announcement. See a bunch of people sounding around him, and then something very, very weird happens. And I'll see if you guys can catch it.
Já eliminamos vários ministérios da máquina pública. E ao mesmo tempo, nós não vamos parar por aí. Já estão encomendados.
Yeah, that's a hell of a frog in your throat. There is only Zool.
Já estão encomendados estudos para eliminar.
So everyone was like, "What the fuck was that? What the hell was?" So it's not a mic issue. It was not a microphone issue. It was not feedback. And you can tell that he's selling it like something is actually wrong. Play it again, just in case you missed it. Frog in the throat, I guess.
Parar por aí. Já estão.
He turned into Rammstein for a second there.
Yeah.
Já estão encomendados estudos.
Now they're all scared because it's a common thing to poison the government officials there. So they're like standing around.
Okay, for them to speak in parcel tongue. Yeah.
Right.
This is the president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what it's saying here, because I wanted to look this up. Basically, he had some kind of surgery on his voice because of bleeding in his brain. And the voice change is related to his recovery from these serious medical procedures.
Oh, so
that's the official explanation.
You're telling me he has legions in the brain.
Who fucking knows, dude?
Yeah, because that sounded like Legion to me. I don't know. It sounded like. I mean, first of all, if you just had throat surgery like that, you probably shouldn't be publicly speaking.
It was in October.
Yeah.
It was in October of 2024 or whatever. But yeah, it's
But what it is, Brazilian death metal legends, Sepultura are from there. So those IDs.
That was how Carmen Miranda originally sang until she went to the crossroads in Rio and then put on the big hat and conquered the world. I don't
Dance with Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
I love
Mama
that.
Yo Quiero.
Well, we got one last story that could go over today, and that's the story of Jimmy Kimmel. So, ever since the death of Charlie Kirk,
the psyop of the century.
Yeah, so ever since the death of Charlie Kirk, the left has been desperately trying to spin this entire narrative away from themselves and towards MAGA and towards the right. And they were very, very desperate to find some kind of a martyr figure that they can hold on to, because they see that the right has Charlie Kirk, but they didn't have anyone. So they decided to turn that martyr into Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel was suspended for literally 3 days for a lie that he told on his show on broadcast television, and the left desperately tried to spin this into the freedom of speech fight for our generation, and that is complete and total bullcrap. So here's what happened. This is what Jimmy Kimmel said on his show that got himself into trouble.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
It's a comedy show, by the way, guys.
Yeah, he's just telling jokes, man. These are nothing but jokes. But as you can see here, he alluded to and straight up tried to suggest that the shooter, the person who killed Charlie Kirk, if you believe that is the kid, the one who ingrained anti-right-wing messages onto his bullets and had a trans boyfriend, that individual, that somehow he was on the same side of MAGA. Now, they say this because it was like, oh, well, his parents were conservative and he lived in Utah, so of course he has to be conservative. These are the same people who literally cannot stop talking about the fact how they rebel against their conservative parents every opportunity that they get. These are the same people who will make that too, who make long-winded social media posts about, oh my God, I can't believe my father is against the vaccine. I can't believe he can support. You guys do this all the time, but now all of a sudden they want you to believe, oh no, this shooter had to be MAGA because his parents are conservative. Let alone,
just for the record, Salt Lake City is very much a very liberal city.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't understand why they think that Utah is like this ruby red state. It's not. There are certain pockets that are very left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Jimmy was obviously trying to take the heat off of the left by pushing it back towards, the right wing in MAGA. And then clearly what he was trying to allude to, based on all the evidence that exists about the shooter currently, is that it was a straight up lie. He was essentially trying to make the right complicit in a murder of a guy who was clearly left wing. Not only was he clearly left wing, but like I said, who's been celebrating his death over the course of the last couple of weeks? It ain't been the right. But this is him trying to play defense for the left, and it bit him in the ass. He got in trouble with the FCC. He got in trouble with a couple of other broadcast stations who were like, you can't go out there and make a statement like that on ABC, which is broadcast television. So this is not cable. This is not YouTube. This is not the internet or streaming where the rules are very, very loose. You're still on broadcast television, which means that you actually can't say stuff like that on ABC. So temporarily, he was pulled off the air. It only lasted 3 days. Nexstar and Sinclair said that they're not going to broadcast his show until he apologizes. So, of course, what the left did is that they said, this is all Donald Trump's fault. He called the FCC to take Jimmy Kimmel off the air. This is fascism. America's dead. America is dying. Oh, this is the First Amendment fight for our... None of this is complete bullcrap. All of it's complete bullcrap. So here's what happened. Basically, Disney made the decision to take him off the air for the following day because they figured out that Jimmy Kimmel was going to double down. He was going to inflame the situation even worse at a time period where people were already quite pissed off by people like Jimmy Kimmel, right? So apparently it was Bob Iger, Dana Walden went and talked with Kimmel and his team. It's like, you guys can't do this. Stay off this topic. It's not the time now. Jimmy Kimmel wanted to double down. He wanted to blame MAGA even further and throw more division and sow more division with the right wing even further than he already was. So they was like, okay, you're going to do this, then we're not putting you on the air because we're not allowing you to put gasoline in a fire at a time like this. So he was temporarily suspended. Everyone lost their damn minds. Everyone absolutely lost their damn minds. There was a individual in Sacramento who literally shot up a local ABC affiliate because he was angry about Jimmy Kimmel being temporarily pulled off of the air. The man wasn't even off the air like 3 days, and the left were shooting up news studios. Here's the video.
Are we sure it was the left? It's both sides.
It's always both sides, right? The right does this all the time, right? We always like shooting up news stations because we don't like things they say, right? It definitely happens on both sides.
A 64-year-old man named Hannibal Hernandez Santana has been arrested as the suspect.
Hannibal Hernandez Santana.
First of all, lady, Hannibal and Hernandez aren't even remotely close to get it confused to that point. Like, what are we just hiring anyone to be a news reporter at this point?
She just moved to Sacramento.
No, she was like, she read that and she's like, if I say that name, I'll sound racist because that implicates a person of color in a crime. I need to make sure this sounds European. So they threw in Hannibal.
The H is silent.
Her plan was thwarted when she said Hernandez.
Yeah, right.
An investigation here at ABC 10 in Sacramento along Broadway. And as the sun has risen this morning, you can see for yourself plywood over one of the windows in the lobby there. Now, earlier in the day on Friday, police were called here in response to shots fired from outside the ABC 10's building. No one.
Again, this goes to show you how retarded people are. Why would you shoot up an ABC local affiliate in Sacramento as if somehow they have anything to do with the Jimmy Kimmel situation whatsoever? Like, you act like he was filming the show in that building.
But it's ABC, and ABC's the one that pulled them off the air, so there's the connection.
Was injured despite the building being occupied at the time. 3 bullet holes were seen in the window on the building's lobby, and that's when the investigation began. Later the same day, KCRA3 saw police in the River Park neighborhood, including SWAT teams. A witness at the scene reported seeing a man tackled and then taken into custody. Sacramento police thanked the FBI for providing resources in its investigation and have asked anyone with further information to contact their department. A 64-year-old man named.
So that's what happened.
I like the guy
literally.
in the hat.
And that was literally a day after this whole situation like happened. Like people were shooting up ABC affiliates because they're upset that Kimmel got taken off of the air. I can't believe Trump did this again.
Yeah,
there's been this
Free
whole.
speech.
There's been this whole that too, right? And this is why it's so disingenuous. You know the left does not give a flying shit about free speech. These are the same people who are actively trying to silence anyone who opposes them. Charlie Kirk was just murdered for his free speech and his opinions, and then these people celebrated and justified it based on the things that he said. These people do not care about free speech, and then this is not even a free speech issue. He lied on broadcast television and then got in trouble with both the networks and the affiliates. There's nothing about here that has anything to do with free speech. And guess what? Slandering people, which is what Jimmy Kimmel was trying to do, because he wanted to slander MAGA by making them complicit in the shooter's motives. That's what he was trying to accomplish. Slander is still illegal, despite the First Amendment. Libel is still illegal, despite the First Amendment. So in no way, shape, or form was what happened to Jimmy Kimmel in any way, shape, or form a First Amendment issue. These are people who are psychotic, who are breaking down mentally because they're all deranged with their Trump derangement syndrome, and they're trying to force Jimmy Kimmel to be their martyr when he is absolutely not, right? And then guess what happened when this whole thing concluded here? Because there was all like, I can't believe 400 celebrities, by the way, came out and signed a petition. I think it was like the ACLU. It's like, we need Kimmel back. We need to get Kimmel back. Well, then guess what? He's back. Disney said that they came to an agreement and he's supposed to be back tonight. The problem is that a quarter of the nation is not going to be able to watch it because Sinclair Nexstar still says, yeah, we're not putting you back on the air. Because from everything that we've heard, you're not sorry and you plan on making things worse anyway, so we're not airing your show. So good luck for those people who are so enthralled with Jimmy Kimmel's show, that 1.3 million average people who let's be honest here, late night television is dead, and it's been dead forever. All of these shows are just vent sessions for angry anti-Trump people who need to listen to Kimmel slam Trump, Colbert slam Trump, Meyer slam Trump, Fallon slam Trump, whether it's John Oliver, Jon Stewart, Samantha Bee, like all of these people need is just 24-hour validation that Orange Man bad. And that's the only reason why any of you guys are pretending to be upset by this. But he's already back. But like I said, he's not going to be shown in 25% of the markets because of his comments. So like I said, Disney said that he's already back for return. They made the decision to suspend him last Wednesday to avoid for inflaming any tense situation. So again, Disney themselves admitted that what happened with Kimmel had nothing to do with Trump, had nothing to do with the FCC. They didn't want him pouring gasoline in the fire. So guess whose fault it was that he got suspended? Jimmy Kimmel. So again, this whole narrative and conversation about the First Amendment and Trump, this has all been just a bunch of bullcrap from the very, very beginning. And now he's back on the air. So again, these people have never even pretended to care about free speech. This is what I hate with the left, because they do this all the time. They don't have values. They don't. Their values essentially piss with the wind. Like I said, 10 years ago, no one was saying that a woman with a penis is actually a thing, right? Like, they weren't saying that 10 years ago. Their opinions piss with the wind. What they often try to do is that they try to take the values of the left and then use it against them when it's convenient for them. Not because they actually believe anything that they say. It's just that it's something that they can hold over you. So all of a sudden they were like, oh, are you guys not going to stand up for free speech? Are you guys not going to stand up for Jimmy Kimmel? This is not a free speech issue. So guess what? No one on the right is entitled to defend Jimmy Kimmel in any way, shape, or form. So I'm sorry that you guys bought into this whole situation. Like I said, you're desperate for a hero. You didn't get it. And you only made yourself even look more foolish and more unlikable and more unbearable with this whole reaction to everything that happened with Kimmel over the course of the last week. So, Cider, I'll start this one off with you. What is your take on the Jimmy Kimmel hoopla that we've been suffering through the last few days? And like I said, Disney already brought him back. I don't think there was any real genuine threat of him losing his job at this point, because like I said, it's Disney. We can't expect Disney to suddenly find a moral compass and be like, you know what, I think you've gone too far. It was never going to happen. So this is probably the best that you were going to get.
Like I said in response to ABC, it's a big game and we're not invited to play.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all I have to say about it, because there's nothing else to say. You're just going to cause a riot, because there's nothing you could do. They don't care. They're not going to change. Like you said, they're not going to change. This is why I keep telling people, don't bother with this Disney Plus stuff. Don't bother with the streaming things. Watch what you want to watch on YouTube. That's evil enough. Just move on. At least you don't have to pay for that.
I'll get to this counterpoint here in just a second. Just to show you how deranged. This is how utterly deranged people are just because they hate Trump. I'll get to this at the end here. Rick, what's your take on this whole situation with Jimmy Kimmel and all the ridiculousness we've seen over the last couple of days?
I just think that ABC was within its rights to temper. I mean, they didn't even say cancel. They never said they canceled the show. They said they were putting it on indefinite hiatus, which meant that they could bring it back. So I didn't see any free speech issue, because Jimmy Kimmel could go to another network. He could go on interviews with other broadcasters, podcasts, what have you. He was not silenced. He was just taken off the air. And contrary to some idea, I don't think it was. I don't think Trump called ABC, said take him off the air, and they would say, "Oh yes." So he's back, and I don't know what he's going to say. I think that idea of him doubling down on something is a mistake, or would have been a mistake. And really, it's not just this whole free speech issue. And he wasn't taken off the air for making jokes. He was making political commentary. And that's all it's been for many years. He was taken off the air because what he was saying could put the network in a legal bind. If they decide to say, what you're saying is libelous, or it's inflamed, it could be causing legal issues. So it was their decision. And I don't think it was they want to say, he was taken off for making jokes about Trump. Well, they've never really made jokes about Trump. They've always just made comments about him, which is fine. They're free to do that. I don't see it as it's a free speech issue. It's more of a business issue. And they made the decision. They brought him back. And honestly, I just have one question before I finish up. All the people who signed the letters and all the people who protested, did they really watch the show? Were they like devoted viewers to the show, where they watched every night and they didn't miss it? Or they just... I don't know anyone. I honestly don't know anyone who watched this show, or Colbert, or even something like Last Week Tonight. Any of these shows. I don't know anyone who watches these shows. So I'm puzzled as to why this particular individual, this particular case, was the hill to die on. But I leave it to smarter people to answer that question.
Well, like I said, what's happening here is that, Colbert show's coming to an end next year. So they're dumping him, and it's clear that show was losing a whole bunch of money. Apparently, Jimmy Kimmel is losing a whole bunch of money. He's getting paid $17 million a year on average right now to host that show. That, like I said, the average is like 1.3 million, and they only want to watch his show to hear him complain about Trump. That's the only reason anyone is watching Jimmy Kimmel in 2025 anymore, is that you hate Trump and you want to hear from someone who also hates Trump. That's the only draw that Jimmy Kimmel has as an individual in 2025. And first of all, we're lying to ourselves, because Disney themselves has admitted that Trump and the administration had absolutely nothing to do with him being taken off the air for 3 days. Had nothing to do with it. They did not want any potential legal blowback for you making the suggestion that the shooter was MAGA. Because if somebody took that, keep in mind, Disney has already had this issue. Remember, Pat McAfee had to pay out some girl a few months back because he had mentioned something about her sleeping with like a coach or some other guy, maybe like her boyfriend's dad or something like that. Made some passing comment about his show. He had to literally go on his show and apologize to avoid a massive lawsuit. I think Disney still paid that woman out. So if they paid out for that situation, you knew that this situation was going to be a massive payout if somebody side was like, okay, no, this is a line too far here. They were trying to protect their ass legally. Because guess what? You actually can't lie and get away with it on broadcast television. I know that upsets the left, but that's essentially what the rules are, and they've always have been that. Rob, what's your take here?
Yeah, I just think it's an opportunity for, and I mean, I don't even know who like the left is anymore. Like when we use that term or the terms used, it's like it's a bunch of fucking idiot celebrities. It's a bunch of Hollywood executives. It's people who work in the entertainment industry who get to be sanctimonious, who get to say this is an issue about free speech, and it's like, I'm sorry, and I'm not. Listen, I'm not somebody who tries to engage in whataboutism, but I'm sorry. We look at the last 5 years, the amount of people who lost their job, the amount of people who got terminated because they wouldn't get a COVID vaccine, or they made it a social media post, or, that had nothing to do with their job, but they still got fired anyway. Well, hey, guess what, Jimmy Kimmel? You work for a ridiculously high-powered corporation that has stockholders and that has people that are affected by the things that come out of your mouth. And when you're reckless with your words, guess what? That doesn't fall under free speech. And the FCC has every right, by the way, they weren't involved, but they have every right to hold you accountable to the public airways. Because guess what? Government regulations exist. Oh, wait, are government regulations bad now? Is that what we're deciding? Is that like, it's the hypocrisy of this situation was so fucking funny and so sad, because I am somebody who actively believes in free speech, who understands that, guess what? Those people last week had every right to say the disgusting things they did. And guess what? You losing your job because you were a disgusting person and because you negatively impacted so many people that they reported you to your own job. I don't feel sorry for you. You have every right to say those things, but what comes after is for you to deal with ultimately. And in this situation, he was reckless. He acted without thinking. But maybe it was a thought out, because it was just like, okay, this has gone way too far. You haven't shown the smallest bit of care for what's happened, and now you're acting in this haphazard manner to label your political opponents as being in league with a domestic terrorist. You know what I mean? That's basically what was going on. And so ABC made a call. Now, I know that they've had issues, or his contract is either coming up, or they would love an excuse to be able to drop him, because these guys cost a lot of fucking money. And if you're not bringing in viewers, if you're not bringing in the money, and you're costing your company money, that's like, why are we keeping you around? What are we doing here? And so with the Colbert, with Jimmy Kimmel, late night television has been dying for 15 years. Since the last time that people, I think, gave a shit was the whole Conan O'Brien got screwed out of the NBC, the Tonight Show or whatever, and Jay Leno came back. That was like the last time that like people were like, oh, hey, what's going to happen with this? And that was it. And since then it's been it's the next day views on YouTube that matter more than people tuning in on cable. So
yeah, the whole thing is laughable. It's like, guys, a so-called comedian, oh, there we go, knocked my thing down a little bit, but a so-called comedian, Waka Waka, making $17 million a year, not being able to do his little talk show for 3 nights, is not the First Amendment battleground war zone of our time. It's just not. And you guys are actively lying to pretend like that it is. Eddie, what's your take on Jimmy Kimmel as a man?
He's not one. He's never been one. He's not a funny person. I can't remember the last time I watched late night television, but honestly, it was probably something having to do with Jimmy Kimmel. And it's probably something about, telling you arguably something not funny, like I'm trying not to be, and just completely ruining your day. After having a long, fucking horrible day at work, you came home and Jimmy Kimmel's just telling you how much of an asshole you are. You tell me 1.4 million people are watching Jimmy Kimmel. That's airports and old people falling asleep in front of their television. And And the funniest, I don't care what happens. It's all like Leslie already threw my thing out. It's a psyop. They tried to cut away from Charlie Kirk's fucking thunder, and it didn't fucking work. We're gonna see the ratings tonight. It's gonna be great. It's gonna see how everyone did not really give a shit about any of this freedom of speech and what they were claiming all fucking weekend. And arguably, Donald Trump did something funnier today than Jimmy Kimmel will do anywhere else. He told he literally conned a bunch of libtard women to fucking poison their children in the womb to own Trump and his fucking Tylenol obsession.
I'm not even joking. I was literally just about to play that. So as y'all know, Trump made the announcement.
Maybe you're right.
Made the announcement that he believes that there is a link between Tylenol and autism in babies, right? So
these are the people who defended Jimmy Kimmel all weekend.
So what do these psychopaths do? They run to social media because that's their home of validation. And they're like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a whole bottle of Tylenol just to stick it to Trump. I'm going to potentially put my baby at risk just because Trump said something that I disagree with. And again, this goes all the way back full circle to what we were arguing with at the very early part of the show. They're making it seem like somehow men are the problem, that they're not having sex and getting married and stuff like this. And then this is the women that we're supposed to choose from right now. These psychopathic harpies who are just driven by anything that Trump says. I have to do the complete opposite because I hate Trump. These are not well people. They are psychopaths.
He literally was asked today, you know, all the pediatricians and all the obstetricians, they're saying that Tylenol is perfectly healthy for your baby. And Trump just looks at him, maybe they're right, but I wouldn't do it. That's what they're going off of.
So I'll just play this here because this is Ryan Long perfectly displaying the complete and total hypocrisy of the left about this whole Jimmy Kimmel situation. And like I said, you guys really just don't have no leg to stand on here, and no one's buying your lies anymore.
Pretty crazy week in the last little bit, right? Like they killed Charlie Kirk, then Jimmy Kimmel got fired, and then I just lost $800 betting that Bridget Macron does have a dick. Yeah, apparently she doesn't. They provided evidence proving that she's a woman, which was just a photo of her parallel parking. So, are there any fans of Jimmy Kimmel in the audience today? One. I mean, his only viewer is in the audience tonight. I'll tell you, I feel like I'm losing my mind being gaslit by friends of mine. I had a friend, she came up to me and she was like, isn't it crazy that free speech is gone? I'm like, you supported every guy getting kicked off of everything for 10 years. It feels like a friend that was like an alcoholic for 8 years and just a menace, then coming back to the party after 1 day sober and being like, you guys need to get your life together. And you're like, what? You're like, I'm like, you came to my wedding and shit on the cake. And the only reason you're not an alcoholic anymore is because of the ankle bracelet. What are we talking about right now? I mean, we're all a little bit hypocrites when it comes to speech stuff, obviously, except for me. I'm the only non-hypocrite in the world. I was telling my Uber driver that. I was like, do you know how consistent I am? And he said, you're a hero. That's what he said. I thought that's what he said. He was talking to his wife in Arabic, but it sounded... But also at the other side, because people are like, well, this one's different because it's the government, right? And I'm kind of like, true, but the problem is Trump's such an egomaniac, he can't do his shady evil villain stuff in private. Like the Democrats, if they want to get someone kicked off the world, they're at back alley meetings. Trump's out there being like, Colbert gets fired, he's like, Jimmy Kimmel will be next. You're like, stop telling me. Why are you telling everyone your evil plan? You're out there making lists to get people banned from PayPal. Mark Zuckerberg, it would be a shame if something had to happen with you if you don't get rid of the right people. Trump's out here tweeting at the FCC, need a favor. You're like, what are you? Donald Trump's announcing the next people he's going to be corrupt to like a fucking WWE promo. He's coming out like, Jimmy Kimmel, you messed with the wrong guy. When I'm through with you, your dad's going to wish he wore a Jimmy, because this is... Oh yeah, you want to fire the singer of Mighty Mighty Boss Notes because he wouldn't get the COVID vaccine? Well, you like crying? I'm gonna lube your ass up with your tears and stuff it with ivermectin. Like, he's one step away from making an executive order that they're like, the new host of the Tonight Show is My Pillow's Mike Lindell. And then he just comes out, he's like, what's up, libtards? How many genders are there? 2. Like he's just fucking going crazy. He's like, my guests tonight are Benjamin Netanyahu, the CFO of Oracle, and then the 9 patriots who stormed the Capitol. That's insane, getting shot in public for speech and stuff like that. But as a comedian, it would be so much worse if I ever got shot on stage. My last words would not be, I would want broadcast. As I'm fucking getting broadcast off the internet being like, and then I sucked the dog's dick. And then I have a late night host have to say that my people did it, you know? A late night host has to go and he goes, Ryan was killed by his people. Jack dudes with huge dicks. Like, I'm not...
Yeah. So, like I said, the absurdity of this whole situation is just, it's just absolute peak. I don't know what's going to happen with these people. These people are not mentally well, and I think they're going to crash out pretty freaking hard. So we'll keep an eye on this whole Jimmy Kimmel situation. But anyone else has any final thoughts before we get out of here?
This was the fastest rise and fall of a fascist dictatorship I've ever seen. Really, I think that South Korean coup lasted longer than this fascist dictatorship.
No, the South Korean coup lasted, and I'm not joking, 4 minutes. 4 minutes before everyone just said, no, we're not doing this.
So does that mean that I won't have to cancel my Disney Plus? Because, you know, I haven't finished all the Marvel movies. So what am I going to do now?
I don't know, but yeah, I wonder all those people who prematurely canceled their Disney Plus, are they going to get it all back? By the way, just a quick little, I guess we'll end on this note here. Disney is still actively screwing you guys out of money. Just in case you guys didn't realize, they just announced that they're upping the price of Disney Plus again. They've already come up with ESPN Unlimited now, because ESPN Plus is dead. That's now $30 a month. That's an introduction price. So that means that next year you're going to have to pay $35 a month. If you want no ads, then you have to pay $45 a month. And everyone was talking about, oh yeah, the WWE is going to ESPN on this super expensive pay app that you have to provide. And then the show sucked. The show absolutely sucked. The best match was Cena and Brock, and it was 4 minutes long.
ESPN said it sucked.
Yeah, even literally, they wrote an article saying this show sucks. so yeah, Disney, just get rid of Disney at this point. Hulu, ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, they don't deserve your money. Let them fall and burn. They're giving Jimmy Kimmel $17 million a year. They clearly don't need money. So.
But how am I going to know what happens like in Echo Season 2 if I don't keep Disney Plus?
I don't know. Maybe they'll sell that off to like Apple TV at some point.
Oh, well, they could put Echo Season 2 in the place of the Savant.
Oh, yeah, that was a little story that I didn't cover. But it was confirmed that The Savant is being postponed. So that was the show we talked about a couple of weeks ago with Jessica Chastain, how the whole thing was supposed to be how the far right are the villains, the white nationalists, the Christians with the American flags, they're the bad guys in this whole scenario. They just announced that show is postponed. So they postponed it for one of two reasons. One, that show has been memed to death, and it hasn't even debuted yet, so they probably realized that it was not going to end very well for them. Or, on the flip side, they probably had a villain in the show that was similar to Charlie Kirk, and they realized this is probably a bad time to release it, but everything that's been going on there. So, one of those two reasons got the show delayed. So, there it is.
You know, that or they're trying to create AstroTurf to, like, you know, when the show does come out. See, the Charlie Kirk supporters don't like our show. That's because they're afraid of us getting killed.
Exactly. I mean, that show literally got memed out of existence like weeks before it was ever supposed to air. Like that show was dead on arrival. And this is what I'm saying. It's like people are not falling for the propaganda. Let me rephrase that. reasonable, smart, not evil people are not falling for the propaganda anymore. There are some dummies out there, and they will fall for anything, especially if you tell them that Trump's involved, they'll fall for it. But everyone else is looking at that. It's like, we're done playing this game. Like, we're not playing this game anymore.
It's kind of strange seeing all of these women, downing Tylenol just to show Trump.
Just to spite Trump.
Because I think it makes me think of that line that people would literally drink poison if Trump said don't drink poison. I mean, just at a certain point you need to say I think he's not a good president, but I don't have to react to everything he says. It's like I'm going to still use Tylenol. Granted, I'll never get pregnant, but I'll still use Tylenol when I need it, not boycott it because Trump says so, or keep just go overdose on it because Trump said so. It's just calm down.
It's taking all my strength not to say, Rick, it's never too late. Taking all my earthly strength.
Maybe
I'm wrong, but I would do it.
I will keep trying. I will keep trying, Cider.
Keep the faith alive, Rick. Keep the faith alive.
I'll keep. I'll do my best.
I wouldn't mind if you guys shot at me.
Just shot at? Just shot at? So
Yeah.
you don't want to get hit by a bullet. You
No,
just
no,
want to
please
get
don't hit
near
me.
a bullet.
Yeah, if you could not hit me, that'd be great. But I don't want getting shot at. I'm used to that.
I just don't want it to be cold.
You want the cross-eyed assassin.
I get to Rob shaking hands and everything. Oh my god, it's fucking freezing.
I can't tell chicks the story about me almost getting shot if I actually do get shot.
Right. Okay, so my friends were up we're all up at the fucking ivory tower up there, and they were all taking shots at me.
Get shot like John Kerry got shot.
Right.
You did?
Yeah, he won 4 Purple Hearts for all the times that he got shot.
Oh, right.
And
But
the medical examiner was like, "This is the most superficial injuries I have ever seen in my career."
I want to get shot like David Ogg got shot.
Mm-hmm. Or do you want to get shot like the guy that Dick Cheney shot? Because, I mean, he lived.
That's pretty nice. I mean,
you get that in the face. You don't want that. It's
I have
the
a
dick in the
good-looking
face you don't want to get shot in.
Yeah, I have a good-looking face.
As long as it's the bird shot, it's fine. That's what I'm told. So as long as you get hit with the bird shot, it's not as bad.
Is that part of Vice? I don't remember that in Vice.
There's a shot a bunch of shark hole in my face and
Yeah, right. Look like you fell face first in front of like a barbecue grill or something. Yeah, but no, that's it. We're done for tonight. So let's sign off and get everyone out of here. We'll start with Rob.
Yeah, I'm totally paying attention. So it's been a long day. I've been up since 3:30, and I'm gonna go to bed soon. But you guys can catch me over on my Twitter. I am usually talking about movies, but I haven't been doing that lately because I like to use football as an excuse, but really I've just been preoccupied. So, but yeah, follow me over there. We'll watch movies. One battle after another. Paul Thomas Anderson's new movie is coming out on Thursday, so I'm really looking forward to that. Hopefully, it's good and not too preachy. And
you're asking for a lot.
Oh, I know.
I've already heard from someone it's the greatest film of the 21st
so
century.
he has a good track record, so I think hopefully it'll turn out well, but who knows with Hollywood these days. So but yeah, just follow me over my Twitter and I will see you next week.
That is a loaded question, sir, for the end of the show. We can talk about it on another situation here. But who else we got here? Cider. What do you got coming up?
Power Rangers, bounding into comics. I don't know why, but it's fun. We did HBO Power Rangers for HBO today, and that was fun. So check that out.
Go Power Rangers, go Power Rangers, go.
I'm pretty sure that's not the song, a theme song ever, but I appreciate the good hustle there.
Eddie.
So I looked it up because Cider brought it up. Apparently, Monster Jam is actually going to show up around my area in a couple of months.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. So I got to I want to make the shirt. I want to show up there. I still got my mullet going a little bit, so I want to see if it completely shows off the right way, So I got to remember what it is. So someone type it in the chat.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Other than that, I'm going to go see Cinema Paradiso in about 20 minutes. gonna go run to the theater to go watch that. That's a great film. It will be dubbed in English, which is going to be kind of depressing, but And yeah, that's about it.
All right, Rick.
Thank you, Cider.
Well,
you're welcome.
I have published my hymn review. I will be posting more reviews, and thoughts and prayers will be appreciated, because despite all logic, I will be watching and reviewing every episode of With Love, Megan. So obviously I haven't suffered enough.
No one asked you to do that. That's your own fault.
Actually, no. I did a poll so I did review the whole season or every episode, and I guess there are mean people on the Twitter.
Was it one vote, and the one vote was you? Is that what happened?
No, it was like 4 or 5 votes, and the majority said I have to review every episode. So there are some mean people online. I have discovered that there are mean people online who want me to suffer. So I think Rob and Jacob probably voted for me to watch every episode of With Love, Megan. So
I'm flattered. Do you think that I care that much?
Is that like To Sir With Love?
I wish.
No,
because
it's much worse.
hey, I like To Sir With Love. Great song. I never saw the sequel.
I know. I'm saying Megan with Love is much worse than To Sir With Love.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I'll be watching both the first batch and the second batch. So yes, please pray for me. Light the candles. Light the Luigi Mangione candles for me. Thank you.
Yeah, whatever. I'll let you know what I got coming up here. So, like I said, I'm working on rearranging the site. I've added a lot of content over the last couple of days, rearranged some stuff. I'm hoping to go for a new presentation somewhere in the next couple of weeks, but there's a lot that needs to be kind of updated and backlogged. So it's going to have a completely different look. I'm going to have a completely different focus on here moving forward. Hopefully by the end of the week, I can start bringing back episodes of the 511 show that you guys should be able to see on here, and a couple of other things here too. So I'm working on trying to get back into a content groove, but there are some things I got to edit and update, so that's going to take a little while, but we are working on it. Like I said, Sunday, we got the next episode of The Bible Lens. We talked about Charlie and the whole situation on last Sunday's show, so you can go back and check it out there. A few of the episodes have come up as very, very useful, because people just had questions about replacement theology and essentially the Jews, because, of course, everything revolves around the Jews, and then even the transgenders, too. So we've had a lot of talk about that. And then, like I said, right now I'm just trying to catch up on a few things. Movies wise, I honestly don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of the year, because there's several movies that I need to catch up on, but I have almost negative motivation to watch any of them at this point. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. So I'll figure out what I'm going to do here for the next few months of the year. So all that's going on, and that's all that I could think of at the moment. So thank you all, guys, for joining me here. Thank you all you people in the chat for joining us on tonight's show too. And because I don't have an updated outro, I'm going to go with the old outro. So adios, goodbye, and good night. Later.
It's over. Go home.
Get the hell out! Get out! Get out! Get out!
Okay.
Get out! Get out!
You get the hell out!
Never mind who you thought I was. I'm Rick James, bitch.